Master's really too awesome. She already dug one pit for Gu Songyun, and now she's digging another. Little Black's eyes seemed to be filled with gold coins, not hiding his excitement at all. Master just made a huge profit over a single scheme. How many pig trotters is it worth? Little White's eyes glistened with the vision of countless pig trotters. Following Master and eating meat really great. Serves Gu Songyun and the rest right to have such bad luck. Daring to offend Master really bringing trouble to themselves, haha. Little Black and Little White glanced at each other proud. Baisher's eyes also spun. It seems that now, there'll be no lack of demonic beast crystals for him to eat. The surges of happiness these days made him almost unable to believe his fortune. In my opinion, Bailey Hongzhuang's proposal sounds fair. What does old Gu think? Huan Qiyu asked. Since it was a bit, Bailey Hongzhuang's conditions had to be fair for both sides. Gu Songyun's face flashed with a trace of hesitation. Money wasn't anything important, but he couldn't accept apologizing to Bailey Hongzhuang. Regret stared to spread in Gu Songyun's heart. If he could, he never would have come today. Originally he had wanted to ruin Bailey Hongzhuang's reputation, but didn't expect that it'd be himself trapped with no room to advance or retreat. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's completely confident appearance, he had no choice but to admit that this time he lost. Even though he would like to refuse 10,000 times, Gu Songyun could only nod fine. Seeing Gu Songyun's approval, Huan Qiyu didn't delay and immediately began to inspect Gong Shaoqing's internal channels. With this inspection, Huan Qiyu already knew their situation like the back of his hand. Footnote Ra said Gu Songyun, but I'm assuming it's a typo because it doesn't make any sense. Footnote He knew Gong Shaoqing well, and also knew the size of their meridians. And now, he actually found that their meridians and channels had grown much bigger than before. Not only that, but they had even become more tough and durable. For cultivators, such a change was of great assistance. Just this was enough to prove that Bailey Hongzhuang's channel opening pills definitely had an effect. After examining Gong Shaoqing, Huan Qiyu then looked at Zhang Pengze and the others. The facts proved Zhang Pengze's words just as they've said. Some of the energy from yesterday's channel opening pill still wasn't yet fully absorbed, and had no semblance at all to the laxatives Gu Songyun said they were. Huan Qiyu slowly lifted his head and looked at Gu Songyun. His gaze complicated. Old Gu, according to my examination, their channels really were broadened. After Huan Qiyu's words, everyone was in an uproar. Nobody suspected Huan Qiyu's words. Who would have thought that in the end it was Master Gu wronging Bailey Hongzhuang? Gu Songyun's figure trembled, his face instantly ashening. He seemed to have suffered a huge blow, his whole body unstable. Wei Meidai's face also turned extremely unsightly. She originally thought this plan was flawless and that they could definitely ruin Bailey Hongzhuang. But she didn't expect that in the end, the ones with the destroyed reputation would be them. I really didn't expect for Wei Meidai and the rest to be so despicable, buying real channel opening pills from Bailey Hongzhuang before slandering her. Right, depending on that one excuse to make Bailey Hongzhuang refund their money, really too shameless. Even if Master Gu wants to protect his disciple, this is really going too far. 2 likes. Now Hongzhuang's finally proven innocent, right? Xia Jiqing raised an eyebrow as she looked proudly at Gu Songyun's group. The vice principal finally proved Hongzhuang was innocent. Gu Songyun wanted to puke blood. Even if he accused Bailey Hongzhuang wrongly, that channel opening pill really was fake. The channel opening pills Bailey Hongzhuang gave them are real, but the ones she sold to us were definitely fake. Gu Songyun had just understood the key point of everything. Wei Meidai couldn't have switched out the channel opening pill. So that was the only possibility left. Hearing Gu Songyun's words, a trace of disdain appeared in everyone's eyes. As matters stand, the truth has already been exposed, yet Gu Songyun still wanted to accuse Bailey Hongzhuang. Really too shameless. Master Gu, it's already like this but you still want to slander me? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with disdain and ridicule. The truth is already set now, shouldn't you guys understand? Gu Songyun stared rigidly at Bailey Hongzhuang. He had lived so many years, but this was the first time he was tricked by a junior. Not only was his reputation destroyed, but he even had to give her compensation. In the future, where would he put his face? Gu Songyun's heart was filled with endless anger. He simply couldn't believe his circumstances. Bailey Honghang, are you worthy of my apology? Gu Songyun's voice was filled with rage and menace as he stared at Bailey Honghang with mad killing intent. This wretched, loathsome girl, after he's done with today, he absolutely won't let Bailey Hongzhuang slip off. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered, her eyes filled with ice. How am I not worthy of Master Gu's apology? Even if you kneeled down and kowtowed to me as apology, I would be worthy. Hearing this, Gu Songyun's face instantly ashened, turning as cold as ice. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't go too far. Gu Songyun's face turned red, the hatred in his eyes shocking. Who's going too far? Bailey Honghang's voice was cold and strict. Making way may die by my channel opening pill. You should be the most clear about your plan. As a senior, targeting me, pushing me aside, slandering me, don't tell me you still want me to respect you? Take a look at your own morality and conduct. Do you deserve my respect? Gu Songyun was extremely angry. His right hand pointed at Bailey Hongzhuang, but not a single word could come out of his mouth. His face seemed as if he could faint from anger at any moment. If you can't afford the bet, then don't bet. Or else, you'll just be provoking everyone's ridicule. Bailey Honghang stared at Gu Songyun coldly. She had seen many shameless people, but ones like Gu Songyun who want to truly made her feel sick. Since they've already shed all pretenses of cordiality, she naturally wasn't the least bit courteous with her words. Everyone stared at the scene, stunned. Bailey Hongzhuang was really too domineering. That was Master Gu Ah. Yet Bailey Hongzhuang was scolding him like a grandson. But thinking carefully, everyone thought that Bailey Hongzhuang's scolding wasn't unreasonable. In fact, Gu Songyun's actions made everyone feel sick. Wei Meidai was also currently terrified. Where did Bailey Honghang's courage come from? An unexplainable sense of regret spread in her heart. If she could, she really wanted to find a hole to hide in. From here on, she'll really have no face in Azure Water School to meet anybody. Clap, clap. Just as everyone fell silent, Dibei-chan suddenly started to clap. Well said. Dibei-chan's deep, black eyes twinkled with enjoyment. The corners of his lips curled in a devilishly charming smile. Hearing his wife's marvelous words, naturally he wanted to clap. Everyone stared at Dibei-chan astonished. This Dibei-chan really deserved to be Bailey Hongzhuang's wife. Their guts were really out of the ordinary. After Dibei-chan started clapping, Xia Jiqing and Bai Junyu one after another also started to clap. It was really too satisfying. Dongfang Yu and Gong Shaoqing also stood up to clap. Lu Qingyue hesitantly glanced at Huan Qiyu and Gu Songyun. She often stayed in the Pill Master's Guide and was quite familiar with Gu Songyun, so if she applauded now, it'd really be too inappropriate. Below the stage, nobody knew who clapped first, but the crowd was filled with thunderous applause. Bailey Hongzhuang was truly very blunt. Normally, Pill Masters always held an aloof and remote attitude, and nobody dared to be the least bit disrespectful. Now Bailey Hongzhuang dared to provoke Gu Songyun directly. Just by listening they could feel their blood racing. Gu Songyun's face had already turned into a dark red color. He wished with all his heart that it was all a dream. But reality was cruel. He stared at Huan Qiyu helplessly, only hoping for his long-known friend to say a few words to help him. Otherwise, after today, he'd become a laughingstock in Azure Water City. Huan Qiyu frowned slightly. He also didn't think that the situation today would turn out to be like this. Towards this old friend Gu Songyun, he was truly somewhat helpless. Although in the past, Gu Songyun's tolerance was very short, he'd never go as far as to interfere with the younger generation. He didn't think that this time Gu Songyun would become involved in such a thing. Especially those last words making him disdained by everyone. Bailey Hongzhuang, old Gu is your elder, so I believe he understands. How about he just compensates? Huan Qiyu thought for a long time and only spoke just now. He also couldn't help but feel very embarrassed. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Huan Qiyu. She could understand Huan Qiyu's reasons for saying such. On one hand, it was an Azure Water School student, but on the other, it was his long-known friend. He could only come up with such a compromise. In Bailey Honghang's heart, Huan Qiyu taking her into consideration already made her feel somewhat grateful. Since Vice Principal said so, I'll listen, Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. But I want double the compensation. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's unwilling face, Huan Qiyu laughed helplessly and turned to Gu Songyun. He could only manage this much. Tomorrow I will send people to deliver it to you. Gu Songyun looked at Bailey Hongzhuang resentfully and quickly walked out of Early Assembly Plaza. He didn't want to stay here and lose even more face. Seeing Gu Songyun leave, Wei Meidai immediately began to follow. Hold on. Bailey Hongzhuang's cold voice suddenly rang. Miss Wei seems to have forgotten something, right? Wei Meidai's body turned stiff as she turned her head awkwardly. What? You still owe me an apology, Bailey Hongzhuang said icily. Leaving just like that was really getting off too easy. Wei Meidai's face sunk. She originally thought that she could just slip through, but didn't expect that she couldn't even hide. Wei Meidai couldn't help but look at the quickly leaving Gu Songyun. But he didn't seem to understand her meaning, disappearing away from everyone's eyes at a speed like lightning. Gu Songyun only wanted to be away from Wei Meidai right now. If it wasn't for her rashly agreeing to the inspection, how would end up at such a situation? This was the first time he regretted taking such a stupid despical. Seeing this, Wei Meidai could only stare at Bailey Hongzhuang helplessly. Her voice overcast like baby's. I'm sorry. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned, a doubtful look on her face as she brought her head closer to Wei Meidai's. What did you say? It was too quiet for me to hear. Wei Meidai's face turned very red as she glared at Bailey Hongzhuang indignantly. She was going too far. Wei Meidai, don't you normally talk very loudly? How come I can't hear anything now? Wei Meidai stared angrily at Xia Jiqing. Her eyes filled with bone-deep hate. She naturally hated Bailey Hongzhuang, and this Xia Jiqing was simply too detestable. I'm sorry. Wei Meidai shouted the two words. She didn't want to stay for a single bit longer, and immediately started to leave. But just as Wei Meidai took a step, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice rang out again. Wei Meidai, don't forget to come with your master tomorrow to compensate me for my reputation. Wei Meidai's figure paused, her hand clenching into fists. Her head didn't turn back as she left with quick steps. After Wei Meidai left, only Ling Jiesin, Lu Jingquan and Peng Yunxiang were left on the platform. Seeing the three who always searched for an excuse to trouble her, Bailey Hongzhuang raised her chin, a cold light flashing through her eyes as she openly laughed mockingly. Right now, Ling Jiesin and her group felt as if they were sitting on pins and needles. If it wasn't for the vice principal showing up, they would have been able to leave directly. But now they could no longer OD anything and could only brace themselves. I'm sorry. The three apologized together, their eyes twinkling with anger. This time they had lost, but next time it'll be Bailey Hongzhuang unable to escape easily. Right as they schemed their future plans, Bailey Hongzhuang spoke again. Next time you want to find trouble with me, make a better plan. This strategy is too stupid. Hearing this, Ling Jiesin's group was simply mad with anger at Bailey Hongzhuang. This time they had definitely failed, but Bailey Hongzhuang's ruthless mocking had truly made them lose too much face. But facing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, they couldn't say a thing. But right now, Dai Yunyang was angry enough to puke blood. He had never accused Bailey Hongzhuang wrongly though. That channel opening pill really didn't have the least bit of effect though. Only now, in front of Bailey Hongzhuang's righteous appearance, he was truly about to die from anger. After Ling Jiesin and the others left under everyone's mocking words, Early Assembly Plaza regained its calm. Everyone's faces were brimming with happiness. Today the show had truly exceeded their expectations. Bailey Hongzhuang turned to face Huan Qiyu and bowed with etiquette. Many thanks for today, Vice Principal. Huan Qiyu waved his hand. Although his heart was still a bit helpless, he still spoke smilingly. What I said was the truth. Hi. Chapter 397 Dark Murderous Night. A wonderful drama had ended in such a way, with flaring curtains, that even though it was over, there were still many students relishing in its aftermath. Wei Meidai, Ling Jiaxian, and the others' fame fell to a rock bottom. After all, their true colors had been exposed in front of all the people. Bailey Hongzhuang thanked Zhang Pengzhe and the other two people, afterward returning to the special enrollment dormitory with Di Beiqian and the others. Dong Fengyu and others on this matter, and its result were filled with endless emotion. They had thought this would cause a huge loss to Bailey Hongzhuang's reputation and have not thought that a person like Bailey Hongzhuang will be enough to turn the tide. This completely rewritten ending had awed them and at the same time had also been a good lesson for Ling Jiaxian and others. They had to admit that such twists and turns in the plot were really rare. Troubled everyone today, thank you. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved up in a gentle smile, hand cupped as she apologized to Dong Fengyu and the others. This incident had been enough to prove that Gong Shaoqing and others in the special enrollment batch have truly become friends with her, and she will deeply remember this affection and repay it from the bottom of her heart. Dong Fengyu looked at Di Beichan. After the previous things, the relationship between him and Di Beichan was not good. If he continued to stay here, he would only be embarrassed. Gong Shaoqing naturally understood the current situation and went upstairs together with Dong Fengyu and Lin Qinyu. Xia Zhiqing smiled widely. Haha, today's things were too funny. That Ling Jiaxian was staring till her eyeballs were almost falling. Most of the women practitioners were less alluring than the average women, but allure such as Xia Zhiqing was still extremely rare. Bai Junyu appreciatively glanced at Xia Zhiqing, his eyes bright as his sight condensed on her, a trace of strange emotion spreading in her heart. Zhiqing, thank you for today. Bailey Hongzhuang held Xia Zhiqing's hand, and Xia Zhiqing without any hesitation stood by her side. True friends such as Xia Zhiqing were still very few. Therefore she cherished this friendship very much. Xia Zhiqing winked naughtily, her bright black eyes twinkling like stars. You are welcome. People like them should be cursed. Night slowly crept in, the moon shining, soft moonlight touching everything in the cool and cold night. Bailey Hongzhuang was standing by the window, the moonlight falling on her body, the picture mellow and beautiful. Dark ink-like eyes were like a star in the night, shiny, with a trace of sharpness flashing quietly, cold and unfathomable. Today, when she looked at the eyes of Gu Songyun that were filled with bone-marrow deep, killing intention, she feared more trouble had just been added. To Gu Songyun's position and reputation, today's blow would certainly make him do a crazy move. And she, for Gu Songyun, had a feeling of extreme disgust. Today, this dark and stormy night of the murder would be even darker and heavier later when she went to eradicate this trouble. Master, that Gu Songyun will not send someone to deal with you today, right? Little Black sat on the shoulder of the Bailey Hongzhuang, two little feet shaking as he slowly asked aloud. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved in a ridiculing smile, black pupil flashing with confidence. The old guy is just scared of being upright, trying to figure out how to save his reputation and wouldn't find someone to fight me, at least until tomorrow. In fact, things were just as she expected. Gu Songyun was pacing angrily in his house at the moment. Wei Mei Dai stood in front of him, head hanging low, not saying a word. Chapter 398, Younger Brother. Good news. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang had considered the time for the permanent departure of Gu Songyun, Little White's curious voice suddenly rang out. Well, Di Beichan, how come you are going out now? Little White's eyes were flashing with a curiosity. These days Di Beichan had never gone out. Bailey Hongzhuang's brow lifted, dark, bright eyes flashing with a thoughtfulness like her doubts had just been affirmed. Her heart had already faintly guessed this, but as she had not witnessed, she could not be sure. Master, when do we go? Little Black asked. For Gu Songyun, that old guy, he only felt more and more annoyance, and just wanted to go faster to solve the old fart. Bailey Hongzhuang lips arched in a joking smile. Since you are already this impatient, we will be starting now. Well, Little Black laughed excitedly. Baisher had also heard this and bounded towards Bailey Hongzhuang, his two furry hands holding a purple demon crystal, eyes showing his happiness. Bailey Hongzhuang touched Baisher's head, opened the door and walked the outside of the college's premise. And after today's things, Dai Yunyang could be considered the most depressed person, but his heart also felt somewhat fortunate. If it was not for him letting Ling Jiaxian and the other two question Bailey Hongzhuang first, but he himself, he would have lost face today at the morning prayer square. Now his face was temporarily saved, but that laxative had really caused him such a big loss, making him miserable. He did not know what to do, naturally could not go to Feng Yutang. If he were to tell Feng Yutang that he failed, then he was afraid that he could not even go back alive. I did not expect this Bailey Hongzhuang to be even so powerful. Our plan was perfect, but she has destroyed everything. Ling Jiaxian looked indignant. Today's things had exhausted her and completely lost her face. Who could have thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would even give us a fake Dan and that Gong Shaoqing and the others had taken the real one? If not, no one can be sure if we wronged Bailey Hongzhuang. Lu Jingqian was also depressed, did not expect to fall so short. Dai Yunyang was even more depressed on hearing the words of Lu Jingqian. It is obvious he was wronged. He did not do anything unjust to Bailey Hongzhuang. Okay? However, he now has no other way to tell Lu Jingqian and others because he couldn't accept the fact that people no longer pay any attention to him. So this tone he can only swallow bitterly. Just as Dai Yunyang pondered what they should do next, Pang Yunxiang, who had been sent to inquire about the news, quickly stepped in the room. Younger brother, there is good news. Pang Yunxiang's slightly cheerful and proud face was like an invitation for good news to Dai Yunyang. Dai Yunyang frowned at such a time. How can there be any good news? You what good news? Ling Jia Xian asked curiously. Pang Yunxiang could no longer hold it in and eyes shining with excitement. He said, I have checked. And now in the special enrollment dormitory Bailey Hongzhuang is the only one. Hearing this remark, Dai Yunyang and the other two's eyes are fixed on the body of Pang Yunxiang. Only Bailey Hongzhuang is there? How is that possible? Lu Jingqian had some doubts, not to mention Dong Fangyu, Gong Shaoqing and others who have been staying in special enrollment dormitory. For Di Beichun it was absolutely impossible to be separate from Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 399 You think you will not regret it? Seeing that none of them believed him, Pang Yunxiang's voice became even louder, his face becoming a bit more serious. What I said is true. I had been hiding near the special admissions dormitory to check the situation when I saw the Dong Fangyu, Gong Shaoqing, Lu Qinyu, and Bai Junyu going out together. Not long after that, Di Beichun also left. When I saw that even Di Beichun had gone out, I immediately came back to inform you about the news. Listening to this, Dai Yunyang and others glanced at each other, their faces spontaneously emerging with a touch of joy. Normally, due to the presence of Di Beichun and others, if they want to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang, finding a chance was impossible. Now, in the special enrollment dormitory only Bailey Hongzhuang, that one person was remaining, this good opportunity was simply a pie falling from the heavens, right? We are going to the special enrollment dormitory. Dai Yunyang, pounding his fist on the table, stood up, his originally gloomy face now glimmering with emerging hope. As long as he could recover the strength that he had lost due to the immortality that they had got from the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang, then all problems could be solved. When Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of the special enrollment dormitory, she saw Dai Yunyang's group coming towards her, their faces looking dire and angry. A shallow smile graced her lips as Bailey Hongzhuang folded her arms in front of her chest with attitude, sarcastically looking at Dai Yunyang and the three behind him. Humph! Do you think that you haven't lost enough face today? Have you come here hoping for your face to be lost even more? Bailey Hongzhuang, you do not too proud. Ling Jia Xian cursed angrily. Brother Dai has come. Now I will see how proud you can be. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze condensed on Dai Yunyang's body. With a closer look, she had just found that Dai Yunyang and Dai Jiman looked very similar. It turns out that you are Dai Yunyang. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was unfathomable, her face calm and indifferent, such that no one could see the slightest emotion. Ling Jia Xian and others were constantly coming to her to find troubles, and because of what happened to Dai Jiman and today's incident, she finally saw Dai Yunyang himself. Bailey Hongzhuang, you promptly give up the antidote, or else do not blame me for making you feel unwelcome. Dai Yunyang looked pale, trying to get this over with as soon as possible. He did not know when Di Beichun and the others would come back, but once the time was too late, then the people who were in an adverse situation may be them. Cold, black eyes were filled with puzzlement, as Bailey Hongzhuang's face wrinkled slightly. Antidote? Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, even Ling Jia Xian and others were confused. Dai Yunyang was poisoned. See Bailey Hongzhuang's ignorant and puzzled expression, as if she did not know anything, made Dai Yunyang's anger even thicker and explosive. That is, the antidote of that laxative. A touch of understanding now floated on Bailey Hongzhuang's facial features, cherry-like soft lips curving up in an enchanting arc, her voice revealing her ridicule. Oh, that, after you ate my original immortality, how did you feel? Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's mercilessly sarcastic remark, Dai Yunyang's face turned black to the extreme. You will hand over the antidote right now, or you will regret it." The other three people looked at each other. They completely did not understand what Dai Yunyang and Bailey Hongzhuang were talking about. "Yunyang, what antidote are you talking about?" Ling Jia Xian could not help but ask aloud. However, Dai Yunyang did not explain anything to her. In fact, such a shameful thing, he simply did not want to explain. "I'd like to know, how dare you think you can make me lose 2 levels of strength and not live to regret it?" Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed. Whether it was Dai Jiman or Dai Yunyang, their arrogance was the same. Disgusting. Chapter 400. What is that thing? Hearing Dai Yunyang's remark, the three behind him sucked in a breath of cold air. They looked intently at Dai Yunyang, almost asking if they had heard wrong. However, seeing Dai Yunyang's gloomy face, they remained silent. "If you don't give me the antidote, I will kill you." Dai Yunyang's face was stormy and full of rage, his eyes like knives, glaring at Bailey Hongzhuang as if he wanted to kill her. This woman's level of shamelessness was completely beyond his expectations. "Bailey Hongzhuang, now you are alone. The power of only one person is simply not our opponent." Ling Jia Xian's face had become very ugly at the moment. She also wanted to know what immortality Bailey Hongzhuang had created that it could even cause a decline in Dai Yunyang's strength. As Ling Jia Xian's voice faded, the bodies of Dai Yunyang's group of 4 burst out with a powerful yuan energy at the same time. "Blame you for being so unlucky. Who let you not be together with Di Bei-chan right now? This can only be called bad luck." Lu Jingkan smiled with pride. Usually Bailey Hongzhuang acted too arrogantly, always looking down at them. Now he could finally teach her a lesson. Before, Dong Fengyu and the others had asked Bailey Hongzhuang if she wanted to go out together with them, but she had thought of going to trouble Gutsong Yun and had rejected. Never anticipated that Dai Yunyang would even appear here. However, smiling enchantingly, Bailey Hongzhuang thought that taking this opportunity to solve Dai Yunyang, this nuisance, was also a good thing. Her cold and calm eyes swept over Dai Yunyang, and then over the others, looking at the yuan energy bursting from their bodies, getting a good grasp of their strengths. Dai Yunyang and Peng Yunxiang were at Mysterious Ian middle stage, while Ling Jia Xian and Lu Jingkan were at Mysterious Ian initial stage. If Dai Yunyang was at his original strength, then she would have had some trouble dealing with them, but a battle with such people didn't make her feel a sliver of fear. "You can start now, do not waste my time." Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was impatient, eyebrows slightly furrowed. She still had to go solve Gutsong Yun, after solving Dai Yunyang and the others. She was worried that if the old man was not solved today, he would come to trouble her tomorrow. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's careless attitude, Dai Yunyang thought she was stupid. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang was at Mysterious Ian middle stage, there were 4 of them. She had not even won yet, why was she still so arrogant? Now, Dai Yunyang's eyes swept with a touch of rage since Bailey Hongzhuang was so rude. He will not be polite either. Ling Jia Xian and the others nodded, the 4 people immediately going towards Bailey Hongzhuang, attacking her. "Master, let us shoot now." Little Black's eyes were flashing with excitement, his body emitting an aggressive warlike aura. Bailey Hongzhuang hesitated for a moment, then nodded. At the moment there was no one around. Even if Little Black and Little White came out, it would not be a problem. "Well, solve them quickly." Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were cold. They were already her rivals. Compared to endless trouble later on, might as well solve them right now. "Yes." Little Black and Little White nodded excitedly. They were finally able to come out. The next moment, in front of Dai Yunyang and the others' astonished eyes, 2 round fluff balls appeared. "What is this stuff?" Peng Yunxiang was dumbfounded. In the entire life he had never seen or heard of such things. Chapter 401. I will fulfill you. Before Peng Yunxiang could get the answer to his question, Little Black was already shooting towards his head. Boom! Peng Yunxiang just saw a flash of white in front of him before his head was hit, and his entire body collapsed on the ground uncontrollably. "I am not a stuff. Must be your family is stuff." Little Black stepped on Peng Yunxiang's head. This annoying person even called him stuff. This little master's name is Little Black. Little Black is a good name, right? Why did Peng Yunxiang feel that this style and feeling of sudden attack was really familiar? It was like the first time in the cultivation tower when Bailey Hongzhuang had attacked him with a hidden weapon, Just like that time, he had no time to respond to the attack. Lu Jingcan's mouth twitched. That little white fluffball's name is Little Black? Could there be a more inappropriate name? From which angle did it look black? Just when Lu Jingcan was trying to control his smile, Little White rushed up to him. The same attack on the head, and just like the earlier man, this one fell to the ground from the painful feeling in his head. LJK fell down like pucks. Lu Jingcan felt blood drip down his nose and his eyes fell on the black fluffy body that was constantly bouncing near his head. The attack had been so fast that even his nose was broken. Who are you? Lu Jingcan asked, holding his face because of the pain. Little Master will not tell you. Little White glanced at Lu Jingcan coldly, as if his appearance wasn't worth being noticed by him. Don't tell me you are called Little White. How did you know? Little White looked at Lu Jingcan with surprise. He clearly did not tell him his name. Lu Jingcan's mouth was twitching, his nosebleed getting heavier. Dai Yunyang and Lingjia Xian's faces were extremely ugly at the moment. They did not think that before they could deal with Bailey Hongzhuang, there would be two little unfamiliar guys dealing with them. Dai Yunyang was 7 or 8 meters in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, and in an instant, he fiercely attacked her with a powerful force. He did not care for or like Peng Yunxiang and the other in general. Only by rapidly attacking Bailey Hongzhuang would he achieve his goal. He believed that even if Bailey Hongzhuang was also in the middle stage of the mysterious Ian, Bailey Hongzhuang had just had a breakthrough, and his practice time was much longer than her. Either combat experience or attacking skills were far superior to Bailey Hongzhuang's, and she could not compare. If Bailey Hongzhuang knew Dai Yunyang's thoughts at the moment, she would certainly sneer at him. She was the head of a large family from 1,000 years ago. She did not know how many small and big fights she had participated in. He dared to look down on her combat experience? He was stupid. Bang! Bailey Hongzhuang did not hesitate to meet his fist with her own. As the fists collided, ripples of energy spread in the vicinity. Dai Yunyang took a step back, while Bailey Hongzhuang remained emotionless. Dai Yunyang's eyes were like a stormy sea, as he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a stunned expression, face full of shock. How could this be? Even though his strength dropped 2 levels and he was now only a mysterious Ian middle stage cultivator, how could the power of Bailey Hongzhuang be stronger than him? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at him with ridicule. She had not intended to immerse Dai Yunyang into a period of shock. Immediately, overwhelming attacks mercilessly hit Dai Yunyang. Since you wanted to die, I will fulfill you. Bailey Hongzhuang's words were firm and decisive, leaving no room for discussion. Chapter 402. It is just big talk. Bang! Bang! Bailey Hongzhuang and Dai Yunyang collided together, their tyrannical and fierce attacks continuing, ripples of energy spreading out. Originally, Dai Yunyang was full of confidence, thinking Bailey Hongzhuang was easy to deal with. But as the fight continued, the horror in his heart became more and more deep, eyes completely full of a shocked expression. After the discovery that his own power could not be compared to Bailey Hongzhuang's, he was shaken. He had thought he could win with his combat experience. He never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang's combat experience would be so rich, not in the slightest like an ordinary cultivator at the mysterious Ian middle stage. On the contrary, she was like a battle-hardened general. Beads of sweat oozed from Dai Yunyang's forehead. He did not understand why he had been so unlucky to meet this person, Bailey Hongzhuang. Clearly, everything had been going perfectly, but after meeting Bailey Hongzhuang, everything was completely destroyed. Lingjia Xian found that even Dai Yunyang turned out not to be a competitor of Bailey Hongzhuang. Her face had a deeply distressed expression. How could Dai Yunyang not be an opponent of Bailey Hongzhuang? Lingjia Xian looked at Lu Jingcan and Peng Yunxiang, and could not help but glance at the 2 fluffballs that had severely trampled on the former. She was dismayed by this turn-off events, and stomping went in the direction of Bailey Hongzhuang. Since Long Baisher had been waiting for Ling Jiazin to make a move, as she rushed up, his stature flew towards her in a flash of white. Ah! Lingjia Xian screamed. She did not see the thing that came flying towards her, and her face contorted with pain. At the moment, Baisher was licking the blood on his paw. His usual cute and mo posture had disappeared. Cold eyes looking at Lingjia Xian. Dared to fight with its master? They had to deal with him before it. Lingjia Xian also recognized that the little guy in front of her was the one that Bailey Hongzhuang, always held in her hand, petting it. However, she did not think that the pet, which usually did not seem even the slightest bit offensive, was actually so fast. Her hand could not help but come up to her face, feeling a burst of hot red pain, her hand stained with blood. Turning her gaze slightly, she looked at Baishur, who was squinting as he licked the blood on his paw, as an understanding of what happened dawned on her. I want to kill you, you little beast. Ling Jia Xian was extremely furious. She most valued her face, but this damn beast even dared to scratch her face. Ling Jia Xian, holding her sword, slashed towards Baishur. However, he did not care in the slightest. His stature was swift, and Ling Jia Xian could not even cut a strand of its hair. Baishur acted like he had found a toy, as he ran around, teasing Ling Jia Xian. Little Black and Little White glanced at Baishur and his way of attack. They had to admit that he really was the owner's pet. Even the way they seemed to attack was same. Boom. Bailey Hongzhuang kicked Dian Yang so that his stature went flying before falling heavily on the ground, clouds of dust rising. Dai Yunyang had not yet got up when Bailey Hongzhuang fiercely kicked him, stepping on his chest. It seems that your strength is not enough. Her light tone revealed scorn and disdain. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with disappointment. Earlier, looking at the way Ling Jia Xian and the others were competing for the attention of Dai Yunyang, she thought Dai Yunyang must be incredible. She saw today, but it was just big talk. Chapter 403. Bailey Hongzhuang's means. Dai Yunyang was already feeling down, but after hearing the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, he felt like puking blood. It was not that his strength wasn't enough, but that the strength of Bailey Hongzhuang had completely exceeded the level of the general middle stage mysterious Ian cultivator. Even if she was a special enrollment, Bailey Hongzhuang was too strong. Dai Yunyang was extremely perplexed seeing this. Dai Yunyang fiercely bellowed, "You killed Ji-man. I will have revenge for her." Oh, Bailey Hongzhuang sneered, "You want revenge for Dai Ji-man? You're really nonsense." For Dai Ji-man and Dai Yunyang, she had always been filled with a deep disgust. She never took the initiative to provoke them or cause trouble. It had always been Dai Ji-man and Dai Yunyang who continuously came to trouble her. Although such a cat or a dog would not hurt her, it was really annoying. Bailey Hongzhuang, Songlan College students are not allowed to kill each other. If you dare to kill me, you cannot escape the punishment of the college. Dai Yunyang's eyes were shining with severe malice, like that of a fierce wolf, a flash of conspiracy hidden in them. He knew that he had lost today. Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was beyond his expectations. However, as long as he could escape this dilemma today, there would be more opportunities for revenge in the future. Ling Jia Xian, Lu Jingcan, and Peng Yunxiang were completely dumbfounded at the moment. They had come here to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang, but the end result was that they themselves had been suppressed. Thinking of this, their faces turned pale and clammy. This is simply shaming for their homes. Peng Yunxiang was distressed to the extreme. Obviously in the special enrollment dormitory only Bailey Hongzhuang is there. Did not know where these three little guys emerged from. This was not trapping people. The three of them wanted to help Dai Yunyang, but the strength of these three little guys is not weak. They were busy, so simply could not help. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes condensed on Dai Yunyang, the latter's eyes full of hatred, a panoramic view. Such a person, if she let him go once, she would only be causing unknown trouble for herself at any time in the future. Letting such unknown trouble exist had never been her. Bailey Hongzhuang's means. It was just that there was a bit of risk in college. If seen by others, it would inevitably provoke more trouble. After all, people of the college were coming and going all the time, so they may be seen. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's brows pinched with a troublesome expression, Dai Yunyang smiled proudly. Bailey Hongzhuang, I advise you to obediently let us go, or you will be in trouble. Hearing the words, Bailey Hongzhuang's exquisite face revealed an enchanting and charming smile. She stepped harder on Dai Yunyang, using more strength. You and your sister are really the same. Annoying. Feeling the severe pain from his chest, the bitter hatred in Dai Yunyang's eyes thickened. Don't get so proud so soon. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed like a Cheshire cat. She revealed a lazy smile, charming and shrewd. Even if I cannot kill you in Songlan College today, but I still want to fulfill you, so I will use another method. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved up in an even deeper arc, the smile more perfect and charming. She slowly bent down and near the ears of Dai Yunyang said, "You say, if I destroy your pubic region, what will you do?" Chapter 404 Wasted. Dai Yunyang's proud expression crumbled after hearing the words of Bailey Hongzhuang. His body became stiff, eyes staring at Bailey Hongzhuang, revealing his astonishment and panic. "No, you cannot do that." Once Bailey Hongzhuang destroyed his pubic region, Dantian, all that he had ever hoped of would be shattered. After that, he would be nothing more than an ordinary man, not even able to cultivate. Thinking of all the opponents that he had offended before, he knew that if he became a useless waste, those people would certainly be unable to wait to teach him a lesson. "Why can't I do that?" Bailey Hongzhuang's cherry lips curved. "I hate it when others threaten me." Now victory and defeat were both completely in her hands. Dai Yunyang still dared to threaten her? He really walked the thin line between life and death. Dai Yunyang was terrified, and his eyes contained the slightest touch of redness. If his cultivation was destroyed, it was worse than killing him. "Bailey Hongzhuang, I beg you. I will never cause you any trouble as long as you let me go this time." However, Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful, cold eyes were filled with indifference. Being kind to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. This one code she remembered most clearly. If it had not been for eliminating all the troubles in her past life, she would have been unable to lead the entire Bailey family. Unfortunately, it is too late. The sharp words Bailey Hongzhuang spoke did not give Dai Yunyang any opportunity for a counterattack. And then Bailey Hongzhuang's flat palm severely hit Dai Yunyang's dantian. Boom! A loud noise came and like a deflated balloon, Dai Yunyang collapsed, his entire atmosphere suddenly dissipating. At the moment, Dai Yunyang's face became of deep despair from his earlier terror. Finished. Everything was over. Dai Yunyang's entire being was gloomy, enveloped in a layer of despair. It had only been a short while since he returned to the college, but from someone proud of his cultivation, he had been turned into a waste. He felt the energy of his body dissipating. He had been reduced to a waste, everything instantly obliterated. "Bailey Hongzhuang, you..." Lingjia Exine shouted loudly. This Bailey Hongzhuang even dared to destroy Dai Yunyang's dantian. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly looked at Lingjia Exine, sharp eyes like that of an eagle staring at its prey, filled with arrogance. Just this look, Lingjia Exine's voice collapsed. Those eyes, beautiful, sharp and filled with murderous intent, as if as long as she said a word, her fate would be as miserable as Dai Yunyang's. Lu Jingcan and Peng Yunxiang were holding their breaths, not daring to breathe out. What a joke! Among them, the strongest was Dai Yunyang. Now, even Dai Yunyang was turned to waste by Bailey Hongzhuang. If they dared to mess with her, wouldn't that be signing their own death warrant after seeing the performance of Lingjia Exine and others? Bailey Hongzhuang looked away. "Blame your sister for provoking me." Bailey Hongzhuang said this and turned to walk outside the college, little black, little white, and Baishir quickly following her. Dai Yunyang, who had lost his ability to cultivate, was no longer a threat to her. As for the other three, she believed that they had been scared enough by her. They wouldn't dare to cause her troubles. After Bailey Hongzhuang left, Lingjia Exine and the other two immediately rushed towards Dai Yunyang. At the moment, Dai Yunyang no longer had his former high-spirited, arrogant aura, and exuded depression. His eyes were numb and sluggish, still unable to believe that he had been turned into a waste. Peng Yunxiang's heart was also feeling regretful at the moment. If he had known that Bailey Hongzhuang was so powerful, he would have never gone and caused her any trouble. Dai Yunyang collapsed. He had offended a strong opponent and now he was a waste. The days ahead would be harsher. "You first take Dai Yunyang so he can rest. I still have some things to do first." Peng Yunxiang said this and immediately afterward fled. Continuing to be with Dai Yunyang had no meaning. He believed that when the news of Dai Yunyang becoming a waste spread, many practitioners would surely come to trouble Dai Yunyang. After all, the arrogance Dai Yunyang had was remarkable, and the number of opponents he had offended numbered many. If he continued to stay here and later was misunderstood of having to do something with Dai Yunyang, wouldn't he be causing trouble for himself? Seeing Peng Yunxiang leaving, Lu Jingcan and Lingjia Exine's faces turned ugly. They themselves were panicking and wanted to flee, Pang Yunxiang's behavior was not so surprising. Lai Jingcan's eyes narrowed. From now on, he would have to work hard to get rid of all relations with Dai Yunyang. Only because he still remembered Dai Jiman, he would first carry Dai Yunyang back to his quarters. Ling Jiaxian's mind was also in a disarray. She liked Dai Yunyang and was attracted to him, but now that he was a waste. Little Black and Little White changed to their original form, quietly continued to pretend to be a flower, and Baisher too lazily nested in the arms of Bailey Hongzhuang. Master, why did you let Ling Jiaxian go? Little Black asked aloud. For an annoying flea like Ling Jiaxian, it was too cheap to clean her up. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Baisher's pause to her face must have been a big punishment for Ling Jiaxian, but I still feel that it was not enough. Little Black's lips curled in disdain. There is a blood hatred between me and Dai Yunyang, but the contradiction between me and Ling Jiaxian and me is based entirely on Dai Yunyang. Now that Dai Yunyang has been turned to a waste, with Ling Jiaxian's attitude, it is absolutely impossible for her to continue being with Dai Yunyang, and so the contradiction between me and her no longer exists. To deal with this problem, dealing with the root of it was enough. After all, she was not a killer. If the conflict became out of hand, and could not be resolved, she would use it as a last resort. I agree with the owner's principles in doing things, Baisher said. Bailey Hongzhuang touched Baisher's supple, soft hair with one hand. This little guy's hair had grown very supple and shiny and felt really good. Baisher closed his eyes in comfort, rubbing against her arms, slightly excited at receiving her care. Although she had just fought with Dai Yunyang, Bailey Hongzhuang did not feel tired. Bottomless, black eyes diffused with a chilling cold light. Bailey Hongzhuang would now go to Gu Songyun's residence. Gu Songyun was as nasty as Dai Yunyang, and she hated him just as much. Chapter 406. Gu Songyun's thoughts at the moment. Gu Songyun was pacing back and forth in his house. He would have to pay a heavy price tomorrow to Bailey Hongzhuang and also lose his reputation. With that thought in his mind, he grew more frustrated as time went by. He even started detesting Huan Chuyu. In his opinion, Huan Chuyu must have favored Bailey Hongzhuang, and now he had to pay such a price. He might as well have got on his knees to apologize. What would be the difference? On the contrary, his loss was actually even bigger. Damn that Bailey Hongzhuang, she dared to offend this old man. This old man will not let her go. Gu Songyun slapped the table in anger. His pair of emotion-filled and murky eyes filled with bitter hatred. This loss was really difficult to swallow. Gu Songyun had lived for so many years, it was the first time he had suffered such a big loss. He had spent a lot of money to get the channel opening pill, wanting to study it and increase his own income. He had not expected that eating that pill would even reduce his cultivation by 2 levels. Today he had wanted to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang, sure she would lose, but no, there was no chance of him getting back his loss. Even his reputation was damaged, and he had to pay Bailey Hongzhuang so much remuneration. This was simply outrageous. Suddenly, Gu Songyun's eyes became darker, the resentment in them becoming richer. His mouth slowly arched in a ghastly smile. Bailey Hongzhuang, wanting to take advantage of me is not that simple. He had come up with a great strategy. As long as he killed Bailey Hongzhuang, then the loss he suffered would naturally come back to his own pocket. /n old man, you're dumb. I really don't want to translate your shit thoughts. Since the effectiveness of the channel opening pill had been proved by Bailey Hongzhuang, it showed that the pill Bailey Hongzhuang had made was real. How difficult would it be for him to duplicate it? He only needed to kill Bailey Hongzhuang, take her heaven and earth bag. Then naturally everything he lost would be accounted for. Moreover, Bailey Hongzhuang had even created the channel opening pill. The number of good resources with her would not be less. As long as he got her heaven and earth bag, then it would be like finding a treasure. Thinking of this, Gu Songyun's gloomy mood became cheerful in an instant. Bailey Hongzhuang, I will let you be proud for today, but tomorrow you will disappear from this world entirely. Gu Songyun's mouth evoked a chilling smile. He wanted Bailey Hongzhuang to know that old ginger was always spicier and that offending him was a great price. Who do you want to completely disappear from this world? Suddenly, another voice rang out behind Gu Songyun. Gu Songyun turned pale as a ghost, immediately turning around and looking for who it was. The door that had previously been closed was now open, and a man leisurely leaned on the frame. Moonlight fell on his body, illuminating that beautiful face, making it even more charming, chic and coy. However, the arrival of this person made Gu Songyun's body tighten with tension. His eyes focused on the man before him, fear revealed in his eyes. "You are Di Bei-chen?" He had a deep impression of the man in front of him. Because this man's countenance was so superior, it was really difficult for people to forget it. Moreover, today the man had been standing beside Bailey Hongzhuang, and every time he had spoken had only pushed him deeper into a corner. How could he have forgotten him? Di Bei-chan grinned with malice, that evil smile causing a cold shudder to run down Gu Songyun's spine. Chapter 407. Di Bei-chen's hand. "I just asked who you wanted to disappear from this world." Di Bei-chan repeated his question, his tone more frosty. Gu Songyun's face turned ugly. As a refining pharmacist, the protection power around his house was not weak. He really did not understand how a student could just barge in. "How did you come in?" Di Bei-chen's pink lips rose slightly, his brows revealing his disdain and ridicule. He did not mean to waste time here, just came in through the door. Looking at the indifferent Di Bei-chan, Gu Songyun's mind was panicking. Di Bei-chan could so easily swagger in, this had proved his strength. "You leave right now!" Gu Songyun yelled loudly. Di Bei-chan walked over from the door, slowly approaching Gu Songyun, again smiling evilly. "Who do you think you are ordering?" Gu Songyun naturally heard the ridiculing tone in Di Bei-chen's voice. This person did not look a bit like an ordinary student of the Zhonglan College. The oppressive atmosphere his body exuded seemed like he had been born with it. He obviously had a ridiculing expression, but the heavy pressure spoke otherwise. Even if it was him, in front of Di Bei-chan, he still felt fear of the impending pressure. "If you do not leave, I will inform Huan Chuyu, and you will be punished heavily." Gu Songyun stepped back slightly since he had devoted himself to alchemy. His level of cultivation was not high, not to mention that his strength had also declined by 2 levels. He would have even more problem in dealing with an opponent like Di Bei-chan. Di Bei-chen's smile only grew wider. "Old man, it seems you still haven't figured out the situation." "What do you mean?" Gu Songyun could not help but ask. "Just as you said, I do not intend to let you see tomorrow's dawn." Gu Songyun's expression changed and twisted, looking at Di Bei-chan. He could not believe that Di Bei-chen's courage was even this great. "Do you know the consequences of killing me?" Gu Songyun's voice became louder. "When it is known, it would be absolutely impossible for you to continue staying at Zhonglan College. Are you really willing to ruin the future of Bailey Hongzhuang?" Di Bei-chen chuckled. "Old man Gu, you're really thick. When I kill you, I will make sure that no one at Zhonglan College knows." While speaking, Di Bei-chan came closer to Gu Songyun. "I came so late at night, especially to let you know the price of moving against my lady." As the voice of Di Bei-chen faded, the shock in Gu Songyun's eyes only grew thicker. He stared at Di Bei-chan, struggling to digest the meaning of his words. Bailey Hongzhuang was Di Bei-chen's wife? "Old man Gu, the night is deep. I think I should send you early to rest in peace." Di Bei-chen's eyes were cold. He held a deep disdain for this old man. He dared to ruin Bailey Hongzhuang today. How could he let him go? Seeing Di Bei-chen walk towards him, Gu Songyun couldn't help but shout loudly, "Save!" Because of the protective measures around the house, no one knew that Gu Songyun had been killed, and Di Bei-chen left like nothing had happened. Chapter 408. I have an understanding with the Lady Bailey Hongzhuang walked towards Gu Songyun's residence. Since Gu Songyun had always been so arrogant, it had been pretty easy to inquire where he lived. For a person like Gu Songyun, she did not intend to be the slightest bit polite. This guy thought too highly of himself. He actually wanted to rely on his reputation as an alchemist to ruin her reputation. If a guy like this continued to live in this world, I'm afraid there would be many other people ruined by him. "Master, isn't the person ahead Di Bei-chan?" Suddenly, Little Black's surprised voice rang out. Bailey Hongzhuang, upon hearing this, looked ahead and she saw a pale golden silhouette slowly coming to stand before her. That tall and straight body, free and leisurely pace, and that perfectly handsome face. Who could it be other than Di Bei-chan? Have to admit, Little Black's eyesight was really sharp. Bailey Hongzhuang stopped, standing in her place, looking at the figure in front, his exquisitely beautiful face etched with a smile. Di Beichen's handsome face revealed an evilly charming smile upon seeing Bailey Hongzhuang. Lady, the night is now deep. How are you here and not resting in the dormitory? That low charming voice revealed his joking tone, as Di Beichen slowly asked. Bailey Hongzhuang's brows lifted slightly, eyes black and clear, sparkling like stars. You ran out in the middle of the night. Naturally I had to take a look. Di Beichen's face brightened as he heard that, his beautiful eyes narrowing slightly, the arc of his smile getting bigger like a wily fox. It seems that my position in the eyes of my lady is very important. Even came this late to find me. Were you worried that husband would run away with someone else? Di Beichen's hands touched Bailey Hongzhuang's shoulders. His pair of eyes with the sea-like depth stared at Bailey Hongzhuang, turning brighter and mellow, revealing his joy. Lady, you can rest assured that there is only one person, you in husband's heart. It is impossible to have a relationship with another woman. Looking at Di Beichen as he took the vow, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but blink. Even if there is a connection between you and another woman, I am not interested. She did not understand how this guy came to his previous conclusion. According to his statement, he was claiming her as his real wife? What? Bailey Hongzhuang's heart beat loudly, as she thought of his words. Lady, you cannot speak so indifferently. Di Beichen laughed, handsome face full of confidence, dazzling like the sun. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Di Beichen. She really admired this guy's cheekiness. Where did you come back from? Bailey Hongzhuang spoke leisurely, her beautiful eyes shining with wisdom. You, in fact, as early as the moment she knew that Di Beichen left the dormitory, her heart had a faint feeling. Seeing Di Beichen at this moment only gave more proof that she was right. Di Beichen chuckled loudly, his right hand holding the waist of Bailey Hongzhuang. The lady and I naturally have an understanding. One simple sentence directly gave Bailey Hongzhuang her answer. Chapter 409. No, she did not admit this. Listening to Di Beichen, the emotions in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes deepened even more. She had to admit Di Beichen, and she did have a tacit understanding of sorts. It seemed that the thing she wanted to do had already been guessed by Di Beichen. Lady, let's go back, Di Beichen said, smiling. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Di Beichen, and then her eyes fell on his arm around her waist. This guy, why did he hug her waist so naturally and skillfully? Noticing the direction of Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, Di Beichen smiled brightly. Lady, the night is now deep. No one can see us now. That was not the key point here, alright? She doesn't mind that nobody will ever see, but this guy's hand shouldn't be there at all? However, looking at Di Beichen's happy smile, who seemed to think nothing was wrong, Bailey Hongzhuang could only speak up helplessly. Take your hand away. Lady, we are already a couple. Why do you still care about such things? Di Beichen winked at her with a bewitching smile, a devilish look on his face. Bailey Hongzhuang could only glare at Di Beichen with a pair of cold eyes. This guy, he looked pleasant, but he was really unruly. Di Beichen, seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's serious look, reluctantly pulled back his hand. Since the lady does not like, then well, Bailey Hongzhuang was satisfied that he had released her. This guy could be really shameless. As Bailey Hongzhuang was lost in thinking, Di Beichen's big and strong hand pulled her tender, soft one, walking towards the front. Lady, we should go back. That warm touch startled Bailey Hongzhuang. She stared at the tall stature walking in front of her, an indescribable sensation spreading in her heart. This feeling made Bailey Hongzhuang forget her resistance, letting Di Beichen lead her back to the college. However, she did not see Di Beichen's smile that was as brilliant as sunshine. That kind of smile, that came from the heart, could not be hidden no matter how strongly one tried. It was as if every cell in his being was happy, and the emotion reflected in his eyes. Little Black and Little White looked at them, confused. Wasn't Master going to deal with Gutsong Yun right now? Now Di Beichen had said a few misty words and they were directly heading back to the college. Did that mean that Di Beichen had already solved the problem? Lady, take rest now. You experienced many twists and turns today, you must be tired. Di Beichen smiled gently. Like a gentle stream it surrounded Bailey Hongzhuang, and she could not help but indulge in this feeling. She looked at Di Beichen and nodded. You must also take rest. Saying this, Bailey Hongzhuang did not turn to look at Di Beichen, and opening the door, directly walked into her room. Closing the door, Bailey Hongzhuang leaned against the door, her face flushing slightly. What had happened just now? She could not help but touch her face. Was she actually so immersed in the tender feelings Di-Bei-chan evoked in her? No, she did not want to admit this. Outside the door, Di-Bei-chan stared at the closed door, smile overflowing with happiness and amusement. His lady, who always had a low emotional quotient, but it seems, had he finally reached her? Chapter 410 United Front of the Beasts. Inside the house, Bailey Hongzhuang was lying on her bed, as her mind couldn't help but think of what had happened before. Why did she let Di-Bei-chan hold her hand? Enough. She must have been too tired these past few days, so her mind did not wake up. As Bailey Hongzhuang contemplated these things, Little Black and Little White, the two fur balls, were sitting on the windowsill, a sad and lonely atmosphere spreading around them. White, do you think my intelligence is too low? Little Black turned his head, looking at White, his pair of limpid and moist eyes full of doubts about himself at the moment. Little White shook his head. Why do you ask? Why did I not understand the words of Master and Di-Bei-chan? Little Black's face was lonely. Can you tell me what they meant? Hearing this, Little White sighed, helplessly lowering his head. In that, I am not much better than you. Oh, two little fur balls sighed together. Can only look at the moon in the sky, helpless. They had never before felt that they had low intelligence. As the two fur balls lamented, Baisher, who had not been with them till now, reached the windowsill and sat down beside Little Black. Little Black glanced at Baisher, angrily retorting, Hey, why have you come here running? You want to laugh at us? Baisher shook his head, sighing slightly. Even I do not understand, alas. Oh, Little Black and Little White sighed. At the moment they all felt very low. For the first time the two fur balls felt closer to Baisher. Currently, the two white and one black wicked sat on the windowsill, heads low, uttering a long sigh. The next day, the news of Gu Songyun's inexplicable death spread through the Tsonglan College. Gu Songyun as an alchemist had always been well known in the Tsonglan College, but now he had mysteriously died, which naturally shocked everyone. The number of alchemists was few, not to mention that as alchemists their status was noble. Very few people would actually dare to kill an alchemist. Now Gu Songyun had died, but also on the very same day that his reputation was damaged. This made everyone feel that there was something wrong with his death. In my opinion, it must be that Gu Songyun could not stand his own damaged reputation, and so committed suicide. Yes, think of him, usually he is admired by his disciples as an alchemist. But he wronged Bailey Hongzhuang, who was innocent and his true face was revealed. According to Gu Songyun's temper, he naturally could not stand this. Committing suicide is a normal thing. That may not be necessary. Maybe someone killed Gu Songyun and deliberately disguised his death as a suicide. Maybe Gu Songyun's killer was someone who despised him. The personality of that person, Gu Songyun, is not good. Every time you look for him to refine immortality, he acts almighty and extremely arrogant. All of a sudden everyone was talking about it, pitching in their own opinions. However, many people believe that the death of Gu Songyun was not because of suicide. After all, Gu Songyun had offended a lot of people with his temper. As this news reached Bailey Hongzhuang, Little Black and Little White finally understood what had happened. It turned out that the owner did not deal with him because Di-Bei-chan had already dealt with Gu Songyun before them. Chapter 411 Tears. Wei Mei Dai. Di-Bei-chan is really good. He lives up to my expectations of him, Little Black said, somewhat proud. He had always been optimistic about Di-Bei-chan. It turns out that his vision was not bad. Little White nodded his head in agreement. Whatever the outcome may be, Di-Bei-chan is now married to the owner, so cannot be too picky. In this line was really confusing, so the meaning may be a bit changed from the original. Looking at Little Black and Little White's proud appearance, Baisher also nodded, agreeing. As long as Di-Bei-chan was good to their master, he would not object. Xia Zhiqing's face was lit up with a wide, joyful smile. Hongzhuang, you are really too amazing. Yesterday, I thought that just making him compensate was too cheap a punishment for him. I did not think that he would actually die. Then suddenly the emotion in Zhiqing's clear eyes changed, turning a bit strange as she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang, about Gu Songyun. It wasn't you who killed him, right? Bailey Hongzhuang's brow lifted. Giving a sunny smile, she shook her head. It wasn't me. She had been ready to, but before she could, someone had already taken the lead and solved this problem. Oh, Xiaojiqing nodded. That old guy was so annoying. He must surely have many enemies who find him less than pleasing to the eye. In such circumstance, being killed is normal. Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth arched in a jesting smile. Indeed, that disrespectful old guy. Don't know how many people he has insulted. Leaving that, today I heard a lot of people talking that the reason why Gu Songyun came forwards to wrong you yesterday was entirely due to Wei Meidai. Although Wei Meidai has good talent in alchemy, Gu Songyun is now dead and her reputation is not nice. If she wants to find a new master, it won't be easy for her. She can only blame herself. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was cold. The reason why she was in such a situation today was entirely her fault. Originally she did not intend to deal with Wei Meidai at all, but Wei Meidai joined together with Ling Jiaxian and the others to hurt her. Since she did so, she should have been prepared to pay the price. Her current situation was a result of her previous actions. They should be coming to compensate you in some time. I am curious what Wei Meidai's expression will be now. Xiaojiqing was slightly excited. Compared to the proud and arrogant face of Wei Meidai, she would like to see her crying. In fact, Wei Meidai had no tears. Yesterday, she had been rebuked by Master before she could return to her own residence. Just thinking about having to go to college tomorrow to compensate Bailey Hongzhuang made her feel depressed. If she had known before, she would have never agreed to Ling Jizhen's proposal. If not because of Ling Jiaxian and the others, would she have fallen into such a situation? She sat in bed all night, sulking, unable to sleep. Finally, she fell asleep in the morning. She never thought that just some time after falling asleep, she would be awakened by other people. She intended to curse those people, but hearing the news they brought, she was shocked. Master actually died? He even died. Until now, she couldn't completely accept that fact. Too many changes had taken place in a short period of time, and now Master was dead. Then what should she do? Without Master's guidance, she could no longer practice being an alchemist. If she sought a new master, would there be one who was willing to accept her as a disciple? Chapter 412. Miserable. Dai Yunyang. Thinking this, Wei Meidai became pale. She wanted to go directly to Ling Jiaxian and the others, but thinking it over, even if she went to Ling Jiaxian and the others, it would make no difference. Ling Jiaxian and the others, how would they be able to compensate for her BHZ's loss? As Wei Meidai expected, Ling Qiaxian, Lu Jingcan, and Peng Yunxiang were all frowning, depressed. Needless to say, after losing her bet with Bailey Hongzhuang, Ling Jiaxian naturally became impoverished. She had thought that since Dai Yunyang returned, her situation of poverty can be alleviated. She never thought that Dai Yunyang would use all his resources and money at the auction for the channel opening pills, so he now had no extra money. And now they had to compensate Bailey Hongzhuang for the loss of reputation she suffered, but she did not have any money. As for not paying, she did not dare to think about. Vice Principal himself had testified this. If she does not compensate and the news reached the Vice Principal's ears, her final conclusion will certainly not be good. Although Lu Jingcan and Peng Yunxiang were better off than Ling Jiaxian, not by much. They were not born rich people, the amount of money with them was limited, and in many ways they needed to rely on Dai Yunyang. They did not expect to lose Dai Yunyang, that support pillar, but also having to compensate such a huge amount. It could be said that the most unfortunate of the three was Peng Yunxiang. After all, Lu Jingkong and Ling Jiaxian had been with Dai Yunyang since a long time, so they had gotten a lot of benefits. Peng Yunxiang had just recently joined the group. What benefits? He got nothing, and now even Dai Yunyang was lost. Forget it, it was his own choice to rely on Dai Yunyang. In addition, he had also been defeated by Bailey Hongzhuang, lost face, and had to pay a huge fee. He could only blame himself. Could there be anyone more unlucky in this world? Dai Yunyang lay quietly in his bed. He did not give up trying to practice even after finding that his dantia could not store even a bit of yuan energy. He could accept this outcome only after a lot of despair. Ling Jiaxian looked at the haggard Dai Yunyang, before saying aloud, "Yunyang, I will be unable to take care of you later." Hearing this, Dai Yunyang momentarily forgot his depression, looking at Ling Jiaxian with surprise. "Jiaxian, what is the meaning of your words? You know, You are now unable to practice, we should go our separate ways now. Ling Jiazin's words were firm and decisive. A waste had no future, they would only be ridiculed everywhere and could be killed any time. Even if her reputation was now damaged, as long as she had the hope of becoming a better cultivator, there was also a hope for a better future. Dai Yunyang couldn't help but hold on tightly to Ling Jiaxian's hand. Jiaxian, Peng Yunxiang has left, Lu Jingkan has gone. Now even you are going to leave me? Yunyang, you yourself know this, it is impossible for me to be with you now. Not necessarily, maybe my Dantian can heal. Dai Yunyang said without hesitation. Don't say your Dantian can be healed, even if it is healed, you will have to cultivate from scratch. By then people will be long ahead of you. Your life is now finished. Hearing this remark, Dai Yunyang's entire being became sluggish, unable to contain his misery. Ling Jiaxian was right, his life was now finished, completely finished. Chapter 413 Ungrateful, Wei Mei Dai Jiaxian, don't leave me, we will get married. Dai Yunyang was gripping to the last glimmering threads of hope, now that his Dantian was destroyed. Everything he had worked for was gone. All he now had was Ling Jiaxian. As long as Ling Jiaxian was willing to accompany him, he would be able to return safely to Fengbo country. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would die before he could return to Fengbo country. Listening to Dai Yunyang, Ling Jiaxian's eyes flashed with irony. She could not help but recall that instance when Bailey Hongzhuang had asked her why Dai Yunyang had never brought her to his home. Dai Yunyang, previously when I had wanted to go to your home with you, you found all sorts of reasons to prevent that, and now you want to marry me after becoming like this. As Dai Yunyang heard this sentence, all the past emotions between him and Ling Jiaxian vanished in an instant. She had thought that because she was from a poor family, so Dai Yunyang was stalling for time. It now appeared that things were not as she imagined and that Dai Yunyang simply did not want to marry her. Wasn't Dai Yunyang trying to use her now? Either way, she will not forgive Dai Yunyang. Saying this, Ling Jiaxian directly left the room, without so much as glancing at Dai Yunyang. Dai Yunyang's outstretched hand felt heavy. He had always felt very proud, but now he had nothing. When Wei Mei Dai came to find Bailey Hongzhuang to pay her the fee for loss of reputation, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the fee and asked, "What about your master's share of compensation fee?" Wei Mei Dai became furious. "My master is now dead. And you are still asking him for compensation? We all know that your master has been killed. He didn't have any children and you were his only apprentice. Then all of his savings would naturally be yours. Even after that you still can't pay?" Bailey Hongzhuang's brows raised, mouth curving in an arc. Her seemingly indifferent words were full of aggression to corner Wei Mei Dai. "Wei Mei Dai, how can you be so ungrateful? Even after your master's death you are only ruining his reputation even more." Xia Zhiqing shook her head. Her pair of beautiful eyes filled with disdain. "You are not ready to rest your master, rest in peace, right?" Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang and Xia Zhiqing talking in harmony, Wei Mei Dai's face turned dark. These two had partnered to deal with her, damn them. Others did not know, but she was quite sure in her belief that her master had not committed suicide. After her master had scolded her yesterday, he had said he would find a solution, but he would not resort to suicide. Moreover, when she went to her master's residence today, she found that her master's heaven and earth bag had disappeared. All of master's precious things had always been placed in that heaven and earth bag. Now that the heaven and earth bag was missing, she knew that the one who had taken it was the one who had killed her master. In other words, she never got anything from Gutsong Yun. But no matter how she explained this matter, no one listened. Everyone thought she was being cheap and selfish, but she simply did not have anything. "Bailey Hongzhuang, my part of the compensation I have given, so I'm going now." Chapter 414 Hand cramps from counting money. Seeing that Wei Mei Dai was ready to leave, Xia Zhiqing could not help but say, "Wei Mei Dai, your master has taught you for so long. Now after such a thing has happened to him, you can't even do such a thing for him?" After the information of Gutsong Yun had spread, the students of Tsonglan College were very curious as to how this matter would be dealt with. Therefore, after the arrival of Wei Mei Dai, many people came there, wanting to know the final result. At the moment when they saw Wei Mei Dai's attitude, everyone's contempt and disdain for her deepened. This Wei Mei Dai is really too ungrateful. Whether Gu Songyun was right or wrong doesn't matter, but he was her master for so long. Her character is not good at all. She got so many benefits from Gu Songyun, but now she is being so stingy. If it wasn't for Wei Mei Dai, Gu Songyun wouldn't have lost face yesterday. Really is a scourge. Hearing the words of those around her, Wei Mei Dai felt as if a knife was stabbing her right in the heart and her face became ugly. No one believed her. Even if she explained it wasn't of any use. However, the amount of money she had on her now was barely enough for herself. In the past, to get her hands on the channel-opening pill from Bailey Hongzhuang, she had spent a lot of money, and now for this compensation. Before she had an abundance of these, and a large part of the reason was Gu Songyun, but now Gu Songyun was dead, and he was even robbed before he was killed. This Xia Zhiqing really does not know how to shut her mouth. Wei Mei Dai couldn't bear to hear such accusations, and she was cornered right now. She stared at Bailey Hongzhuang and Xi Zhiqing angrily. My master's shared, I will give in a few days. Looking at the back of Wei Mei Dai who was leaving, Bailey Hongzhuang's brows raised, eyes revealing her doubt. In theory, Wei Mei Dai should have handed over the money directly now, and then get angry. This approach did not seem to fit her style at all. Following Wei Mei Dai, Ling Jia Xian's trio one by one paid the reputation loss fee to Bailey Hongzhuang. Their current attitudes were different from their past arrogance. Facing Bailey Hongzhuang, the three of them tried to flatter her. Xia Zhiqing's lips curved in an ironic smile hearing their words and pleasing smiles. They seemed to have decided to no longer be an enemy of Bailey Hongzhuang, and treated her with a caring attitude, hoping that Bailey Hongzhuang would forgive them and write off this grudge. Looking at the attitude of the trio, Bailey Hongzhuang knew that her own purpose had been achieved. She did not make things difficult for them and only replied arbitrarily. When Bailey Hongzhuang went back to her own room, she saw that Di Beichan was standing next to the door, smiling as he looked at her. Today your hand did not cramp because of counting, right? He means counting the money. Di Beichan smiled warmly, and even Shi Bizi was impressed. Seeing Di Beichan's deep, meaningful smile, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but recall the first time she had met Di Beichan. This guy at that time hadn't even been ready to give her 100 gold coins. Chapter 415 Happy Little Beasts. Bailey Hongzhuang's brows lifted slightly as she looked at Di Beichan, still thinking of that incident. No, it was better than a guy who did not even give 100 gold coins. Di Beichan's deep sea-like eyes diffused with amusement. He and his lady's understanding was really deep. If I had given the 100 gold coins, would I have been able to marry and embrace such a beauty? Di Beichan smiled evilly, eyes revealing a trace of fragility, but it made him seem all the more attractive. Bailey Hongzhuang knew that the words Di Beichan had spoken were true. If at that time he had given her the money, Di Beichan and she would not have any future entanglements and she would not have married him. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned. She did not know what to say to such a Di Beichan. As Bailey Hongzhuang was ready to enter her room, Di Beichan suddenly pulled her hand. Lady, wait. Bailey looked at Di Beichan puzzled. This guy seemed to have developed a habit of pulling her hand. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to reprimand him, an object was suddenly put in her hand. Looking down, Bailey Hongzhuang saw a heaven and earth bag in her hand. Eyes full of doubt, she asked, "This is?" Di Beichan chuckled. "Gu Songyun's heaven and earth bag. Maybe there is something in it that would interest you." Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly surprised, understanding why Wei Mei Dai had revealed that embarrassed expression previously. Originally, the heaven and earth bag of Gu Songyun was in the hands of Di Beichan. No wonder Wei Mei Dai was so embarrassed. She was cash-strapped, that's why. Di Beichan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. "Lady, isn't the object husband gave you now much better than 100 gold coins?" Bailey Hongzhuang's elegant and exquisite face revealed a smile as she looked at the heaven and earth bag. Barely. Going back to her room, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately looked through the heaven and earth pouch of Gu Songyun. Whatever it was like now, Gu Songyun was also a refining pharmacist alchemist. He must have accumulated a lot of things over the years. Thinking this, Bailey Hongzhuang, little white, little black, and Baisher's eyes reflected the luster of the gold coins. Although they had guessed that Gu Songyun must have accumulated a lot, this guy really had a lot of money. Wow, we are rich. Little Bulk's hands clutched the gold. eyes bubbling with happiness. They had made a really huge sum of money recently. Little White was not much better than Little Black, so much gold they could now buy a lot of things. Baisher was holding a pile of gold coins, saliva dripping down his mouth. Its claw continued to touch the colorful demon crystals. What exactly should it eat today? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the happy expression of the three beasts, cannot help but feel powerless when she these three, and her mouth arched. As Di Bei-chan said, this thing really was much better than 100 gold coins. Gu Songyun mostly had money in the bag, but he also had a small part of dan and herbs. Bailey Hongzhuang picked them up one by one. These dan she knew how to make, so there is no use. However, these dan would still shoot to a very high price at an auction house. After all, the most important thing for a refining pharmacist is dan. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the herbs one by one. The herbs Gu Songyun collected were valuable and had a wide use. Chapter 416 Mercenary Union's Blue Level Mission. Eventually, Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze concentrated on a green herb. The small plant was green like beautiful green jade, without the slightest bit of impurity. It looked somewhat like a tree vine but exuded a charming fragrance. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes expressed her happiness. She had not expected to get such a good thing from Gu Songyun. Xiangling Rattan was a very precious herb. Although its role was pretty common, in several immortality pills and dan there was a need for Xiangling Rattan. It was just that the growth conditions for Xiangling Rattan were very harsh, so there were very few of these. Usually Xiangling Rattan could only be found at an auction and the price would be high. That old guy actually did such a good thing before dying. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, wrapping up the Xiangling Rattan. This final outcome was really good. Compared to the infamy of Wei Mei Dai, the reputation of Bailey Hongzhuang was getting higher and higher in Songlan College. Even though everyone already knew that she was married to Di Bei-chan, there were still many men who regarded Bailey Hongzhuang as their goddess, and there were many women who considered Bailey Hongzhuang their idol. Even when facing Gu Songyun, Bailey Hongzhuang could still argue reasonably. Her guts were just amazing. As the days restored calmness, Bailey Hongzhuang used the points she gained at the auction to retreat and practice in the cultivation pagoda. Little Black, Little White, and Baisher also followed Bailey Hongzhuang in her retreat. Although the points were spent very fast, the strength of Bailey Hongzhuang was also rapidly improving. 7 days later, a piece of news swept through the Songlan city. Mercenary Union had released a mission. Mission rewards were high, and it was a blue-level mission. It turned out that after the demonic beast tide, somehow sometime to the east of the mountains a fog forest had appeared. Someone had heard roars of beasts from this emerged forest, but unable to go through the fog, he had come back in exasperation. The Mercenary Union had released the mission after receiving the news and needed cultivators to go to the White Fog Forest to find out what had happened for a generous sum of reward. It wasn't like such a task had never been issued by the Mercenary Union, but the frequency of this was very low. After all, such a task was equivalent to an unknown task, and only after going there would someone know what's going on in there. The reason why it was determined as a blue-level mission was after the Mercenary Union had gotten an understanding of the information and determined the level of danger. According to Mercenary Union, there were 5 levels of tasks: yellow, green, blue, purple, and red. The mercenary levels were also divided into these 5 levels. The higher the level, the higher the degree of danger. As blue was intermediate, it could be said that the risk factor was not too high. Therefore, after the announcement of this task, many cultivators set out to explore the Luyun Mountains. That day, Bailey Hongzhuang and others also decided to go the mountains. Since the previous experience of the demonic beast tide in the Yunlu Mountains, they had not come to the mountains for a long time. Compared to ordinary students, special enrollment students were indeed much freer. If not for Di Bei-chan informing her about this, Bailey Hongzhuang was afraid she would have stayed at the cultivation pagoda today. Soon after everyone gathered in the mountains, Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongbo arrived. Chapter 417 Experience in the Miasma Forest. Everyone has come. Lu Huaiyan's face was soft with a warm smile. After encountering that demonic beat tide, I believe that everyone's mood has calmed down? Listening to Lu Huaiyan, the face of the students exposed a smile. That time when they had experienced the demonic beast tide had been a shocking and thrilling experience, but they were cultivators. How could they have not calmed down even after so long? People's eyes could not help but fall on Bai Junyu and Cui Haoyan's body. If anyone had a psychological shadow, so to say, it would be Bai Junyu and Cui Haoyan. The two of them had been seriously injured last time and everyone had mixed feelings about letting them come. Realizing quickly that everyone's attention was them, Bai Junyu and Cui Haoyan smiled and shook their head, indicating they have no problem. Since everyone has no problem, it is naturally very good. Lu Huaiyan's deep, dark eyes flashed with satisfaction. A cultivator should go through battles to enhance themselves. This time the Mercenary Union has released a blue-level mission. I believe we all understand? They all nodded. The most popular news in the Zhonglan city recently was the blue-level mission. Walking on the street, you could hear almost everyone talking about it. At present, many people had gone to the miasma forest, but they had not got the slightest news. The principal and I have decided to lead you all to the forest. When he said this, his face and eyes revealed his excitement. As soon as he had heard there was a blue-level task, his heart had been flooded with youthful vigor. Even if the principal had not organized this, they had been ready to go there on their own. But now that they were coming as mentors, it was naturally better. You will regard this mission as training, and unless it is a matter of life and death, I and Teacher Fu will not appear. Everyone has to rely on themselves in the mountains. There should be no problem with this arrangement? No problem. Listening to everyone's consistent answer, Lu Huaiyan's face had a happy smile. Because of the last demonic beast tide, the college had lost a lot of outstanding students, so they had to be cautious this time around. To be on the safer side, he and Fu Hongbo would travel with the students. All they had to do was ensure their safety and give them more chances for an experience. They will not show up unless it was absolutely urgent. After all, it should be taught in college itself to rely on themselves, since later on in the future you had to be alone. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others naturally understood this and felt very good after seeing the painstaking efforts of these two elders. Since there is no problem, everyone will go back and prepare well and gather at the gates of the college tomorrow. Fu Hongbo spoke. Yes. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked in the direction of the living quarters. About this blue-level mission, she had just learned today. First, the demonic beast tide suddenly appearing in the mountains, and now this strange miasma forest. Lady, what are you thinking? Di Beichan was walking with Bailey Hongzhuang and asked with a smile. Nothing, just thinking of what could be there inside the fog forest. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged, a shallow smile on her face. Seeing that touch of smile in those charming eyes, Di Beichan's own eyes could not help but become a bit tender. That's unimportant, what matters is that I am by your side. Bailey Hongzhuang to such comments now turned a blind eye. This guy could be really shameless. She had stopped reacting now. Chapter 418 Heartache. Dong Fengyu, however. Di Beichan's next words made Bailey Hongzhuang go soft. This time, I will not let you fall in danger. His warm and enchanting voice was full of seriousness. As Di Beichan's eyes stared into the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang, overflowing with affection. In the face of such a serious Di Beichan, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't just ignore his previous words. She was convinced of what Di Beichan had said. Although she had not personally witnessed the reaction of Di Beichan when he learned that she had been caught in the demonic beast tide, she could see it in the reaction of He Mu. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's slightly cold and embarrassed look, the hint of the smile in Di Beichan's eyes increased. His lady was really cute. Dong Fengyu's eyes swept from the body of Di Beichan to Bailey Hongzhuang, his handsome eyes unable to hide his sadness. Since Di Beichan came, the distance between him and Bailey Hongzhuang had been alienated a lot. He was worried that his closeness to Bailey Hongzhuang would cause Di Beichan to be dissatisfied, and if he caused a misunderstanding between Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichan, it was naturally not good. Only, for his own sake of mind, he couldn't help but pay attention to Bailey Hongzhuang. Just he could no longer be as close as before. After such a long time he faced his own heart. He liked Bailey Hongzhuang. He did not know when he started to like her, but he had already liked her for a long time when he discovered his own feelings. And it wasn't even when he was with Bailey Hongzhuang each day. He never realized his feelings until the day Di Beichan appeared, and then he realized. It's just that, no matter when he realized it, he was already too late. He had always led an unruly life. Never thought that one day a woman would occupy his heart. Now, after he and Bailey Hongzhuang got along in just that short period of time, her figure had been deeply imprinted in his mind, his heart. Perhaps as early as the first time he saw Bailey Hongzhuang, he had been tempted. Dressed in white, so courageous even in the face of many bandits, not a trace of worry on her face, easily solving the trouble caused by those bandits. From that moment, he had been attracted to the wisdom and courage of Bailey Hongzhuang. At the time when she had been put in danger in the Yunlu Mountains and he had been unable to save Bailey Hongzhuang, he had felt so angry in that cave. If Bailey Hongzhuang had not been married yet, he could have boldly pursued her. But now what could he do? Maybe this had been destined, just as he had never been able to hold onto the hand of Bailey Hongzhuang in the Yunlu Mountains. In the future too he had no hope to hold her hand. Only a kind of unspeakable pain and loneliness spread in his heart. Such an elegant woman, who would easily forget. Gong Xiaoqing's eyes fell on Dong Fangyu during this period. There had been no small change in the past and present Dong Fangyu. The ever-polite smile on Dong Fangyu's face had changed and disappeared. He was no longer as interested in little things. Don't know when Dong Fangyu had become like him, retreating all day long to practice. Lu Qinyu also looked at Dong Fangyu. She really envied Bailey Hongzhuang. She seemed to get everything so easily. Chapter 419 Envy. Xia Zhiqing. How many wanted to be able to get Dong Fangyu's attention? But Dong Fangyu preferred Bailey Hongzhuang. She had also tried her best to make Big Brother like her. It seemed simple, but it was very difficult. In contrast, Bailey Hongzhuang not only had Dong Fangyu who liked her, there was even such an outstanding man like Di Beichan. Just this point, I don't know how many people envied her. Whether it was strength, medicine or alchemy, Bailey Hongzhuang was proficient in all. She had felt arrogant for so many days, but getting along with Bailey Hongzhuang, her heart had a kind of unspeakable loss. Looking at the bright, sunny smile of Bailey Hongzhuang, an unspeakable envy spread in her heart. Perhaps some people are doomed to be jealous of others. After returning to her room, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately began preparing for all that she would need for the Yunlu Mountains. Since the last incident, it turned out that anything could happen in the Yunlu Mountains. If they did not have perfect preparation and encountered an emergency, they could only be called stupid. Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but hold Baisher. She smiled and touched Baisher's head. Since knowing the identity of this little guy, she would not be so worried about the Yunlu Mountains. After all, with the Beast King in her hand, how could she worried about other wicked? Master, what are you going to do? Baisher was obsessed with the feeling of Bailey Hongzhuang's soft hands petting him. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Nothing, I just feel like worrying about Yunlu Mountains is arbitrary. She had witnessed the power of Baisher's roar. She intended to take Baisher with her this time too. And if Baisher had to use his powers, then she could only imagine everyone's expression at that time. Baisher nodded, although he did not understand. The last time he had roared, the result had been that his master treated him to a meal. This time too, he would be sure to be appreciated by master. After talking to Baisher, Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of the college. She needed to buy some herbs. Since the Mercenary Union had released this mission, it must not be easy to enter that miasma forest, or the reward would not be this rich. There are several ways she can deal with miasma. 1,000 years ago, miasma forests were not uncommon, and she would often go there for an adventure. Xia Zhiqing, on learning that Bailey Hongzhuang could go to the Yunlu Mountains, was filled with endless envy, but as a regular student, she was not free to go with them. Oh, if I could become a special enrollment student, I just envy this kind of life to death. Xia Zhiqing accompanied Bailey Hongzhuang while buying herbs. Although they were both students of Conglan College, the difference between a special enrollment student and a regular student was really big. Listening to this, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. I heard that your scores are top-notch among the students. As long as you can give an assessment test, you will be able to become a special enrollment student. Bailey Hongzhuang was well aware of Xia Zhiqing's results. Xia Zhiqing's strength was not weak. Coupled with her efforts during cultivating, her rank was very high. Chapter 420 By June. Use excitement. In order to be able to practice with you in the special enrollment class 1, practice very hard. And also, due to your channel opening pills, my meridians have widened, improving my cultivation speed. Xia Zhiqing's eyes were shining, her youthful and beautiful face full of excitement. However, I have not become as good as you guys yet. Still, I am very interested in this blue level mission. Have you passed the assessment for special enrollment students? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes shined with seriousness as she spoke. If Xia Zhiqing wanted to take the examination, she could mention it to the two mentors. Letting her take the exam was not a bad idea. Although she had some conflicts with the two mentors, Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongbo, when she had enrolled initially later, she had understood that the two mentors were broad-minded people and always took care of the students. She believed that being harder during the assessment of special enrollment students was not a problem. Xia Zhiqing pondered for a moment before her face was filled with a self-confident expression. I believe I will be able to pass the exam. Then, I will go back and talk to the two mentors. If they are able to assess before we go, that would be better. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang, Xia Zhiqing's eyes widened, barely containing her excitement. Bailey Hongzhuang, will you really talk to them? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, of course, but I can only mention it. I don't know if they will agree. Xia Zhiqing happily pulled Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. I understand no matter what the outcome, thanks a lot, haha. Upon seeing her face, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile also became wider. It was not easy to meet a girl like Xia Zhiqing. Accompanied by Xia Zhiqing, Bailey Hongzhuang quickly purchased all the required things before going back to the college. Just after returning to the special enrollment dormitory, she saw Bai Junyu walking ahead. Bailey Hongzhuang, were you with Xia Zhiqing till now? Bai Junyu asked, smiling brilliantly. Looking at the Bai Junyu expression, Bailey Hongzhuang's clear eyes revealed her smile. She had found that Bai Junyu was especially concerned about Xia Zhiqing, and whenever Zhiqing was present, Bai Junyu seemed particularly energized. Yes, she just returned to her dorm. Bailey Hongzhuang laughed. Oh! Bai Junyu was unable to hide his disappointment. Bai Junyu, Zhiqing said she wanted to go to Yunlu Mountains with us tomorrow, so I intended to go to the mentors to suggest the special enrollment exam. How do you feel? Deeply, Bailey Hongzhuang wondered how he would answer. Listening to the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, Bai Junyu's eyes glistened with excitement. That is naturally very good. I just don't know if the two mentors will agree. I'm afraid that we will be a bit too late. No, it won't be too late. I will find the two mentors, so leave this thing to me. Bai Junyu's brows wrinkled in determination. You can convince the two mentors? Don't worry, no problem. Bai Junyu patted his chest, gesturing that he would complete this job. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a smile. Well, I will leave this matter to you. Okay, I will go now if it is too late. I'm afraid making the assessment happen would not be easy. His voice faded, as Bai Junyu disappeared like a gust of wind from the sight of Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 421. Thank you. Bai Junyu. Seeing Bai Junyu's receding figure, the corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips lifted up in an enchanting arc. It seemed it would be good if Zhiqing and Bai Junyu were together. Master, you're clever. Xiao He smiled, his twinkling eyes looking at her. I just gave Bai Junyu a chance to show off. If he succeeds, Zhiqing would be very grateful to him. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged, face bearing an innocent expression. She was not thinking too deeply about this matter. The next day the sky was clear and the day was just perfect. Bailey Hongzhuang and the team gathered at the entrance of the college. The students of the regular class had already started practicing martial arts in the square. At this moment, the students of the special enrollment class had packed their bags and were ready to set off to Yunlu Mountains. The eyes of other students were filled with envy at seeing them. The students of the special enrollment class are really different. They don't know how better their life is. They don't have to be bored and practice here every day. I don't know when I will be a part of the special enrollment class. We still have a chance. They had been practicing when the news of Xia Zhiqing giving the special enrollment assessment had spread. Don't know what the results were. They could only envy the fact that she got to participate. The crowd was filled with an indescribable emotion when the news of Xia Zhiqing becoming a special enrollment student had been announced early that morning. This news had made many groups of students envious and aroused their determination to fight. Since Xia Zhiqing could do it, they could also do it. When they thought of the special privileges given to special enrollment students, they were fired up and full of vigor. As everyone was talking, Xia Zhiqing walked to the side of Bailey Hongzhuang. her face displaying her excitement. Hongzhuang, thank you very much, Xia Zhiqing said excitedly. Now I can go with you to the Yunlu Mountains. This is really great. You passed the assessment completely with your own ability. What's more, it was Bai Junyu, not me, who went to talk to the teachers yesterday. You should also thank Bai Junyu for his assistance. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, unable to help but look at Bai Junyu. Xia Zhiqing suddenly felt shy, her face betraying her confusion. How could this matter be related to Bai Junyu? On the side, Bai Junyu was listening to the conversation between Xia Zhiqing and Bailey Hongzhuang. At the moment he could feel Xia Zhiqing's gaze on him and scratched his head in embarrassment. I just happened to have something to discuss with the teachers yesterday, and I met Bailey Hongzhuang before that, so I asked the teachers. Hearing this, Xia Zhiqing understood and smiled. That was the case. Bai Junyu, thank you. Bai Junyu looked at Xia Zhiqing's smile and couldn't help but be happy. He grinned at her. You're welcome, it was nothing. God knows how he was able to convince the two teachers yesterday to let Xia Zhiqing give the assessment. After Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo met Bai Junyu, they also expressed unwillingness. Yesterday they were only moved by Bai Junyu's effort. How could they agree so easily about this matter? This time was not correct for holding the assessment, they only did it because Bai Junyu talked to them. The two people were tired of being bothered and so reluctantly agreed. Fortunately, the strength of Xia Zhiqing was indeed very good, and she passed the assessment to become a special enrollment student. Otherwise, the two of them would be really unhappy. Chapter 422. Lady, you're beautiful. After Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo made sure everything was in order and the special enrollment students had arrived, they said, since everyone has arrived, we are ready to set off for the Yunlu Mountains. Yes. The students nodded their heads, they were already ready. Gong Shaoqing and Cui Haoyan led the group through the Yunlu Mountains. Usually, both of them were captains of two different teams. The others really didn't have an opinion when the two of them were chosen as leaders. In the past, in order to create healthy competition among the students of the special enrollment class, they had always been divided into two teams. Only this time the situation was slightly special, so they had not been divided into teams. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others set out and traversed the Yunlu Mountains, Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo did not go with them, but no one knew where they were since they seemed to have disappeared. No one was surprised at this situation. After all, the two teachers had already previously said that they would not appear unless it was a dire situation. Therefore, everyone needed to rely on themselves in the Yunlu Mountains. Bailey Hongzhuang had already been to Yunlu Mountains once. Therefore, this time she was much more comfortable. Compared to the last time they had been here, this time their team was much better. There would be any teams in the Yunlu Mountains because of Mercenary Union's blue-level mission. The path was made lively by Xia Zhiqing and by Junyu. Even though the number of people in their team was not small, but everyone was extremely understanding and efficient, so their speed was quite fast. Everyone was determined to show off the quality of Kunlun College's special enrollment students. Finally, they arrived in an area quite deep into the mountain range. The group decided to take a short break. After discussing, they decided to go even deeper. Since the blue-level mission had been posted for some time, there had been many mercenaries going in the same direction as the miasma forest this time. If they arrived too late, then it is very likely that they would have gone for nothing, since the mission would have already been completed by other mercenaries. The people all agreed on this. They decided to not wear their usual clothes since it would be more convenient and reduce their troubles in the mountains. Bailey Hongzhuang wore a red dress, instantly attracting everyone's attention. Di Beichen's eyes, with their sea-like depth, were filled with intense shock and amazement. Usually, Bailey Hongzhuang was dressed in a white dress. The dress showed her off, enhancing her beauty to the fullest, giving her an elegant, gentle feel. However, at that moment Bailey Hongzhuang gave off a completely different feeling. She was like a burning flame, dazzling and eye-catching. She was like an enchanting flower which had just bloomed, showing off its exhilarating beauty. When Di Beichen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with that expression, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but smile as she saw him. The white robe with gold embellishments that Di Beichen wore made him look handsome and splendid. The handsome and perfect face seemed even more understanding. This beautiful couple naturally drew everyone's attention. Lady, you are beautiful. Di Beichen's brows were still lifted in amazement, and Billy Hongzhuang's lips curved in an evilly charming smile. His lady could always make him feel amazed. Billy Hongzhuang smiled faintly, her bright, clear eyes flashing with interest. You're not bad either. Chapter 423. Lady, are you peeking at me? Everyone was staring at the two people who were standing together side by side. There was an indescribable emotion in their hearts as they sighed. In this world you could not find two people more fitting for each other, right? Lu Qinyu's appearance had always been praiseworthy, but if she were to stand beside Di Bei-chan, people would not have the feeling of them being a match. The crowd was shocked. Due to such a contrast, they could not help but notice that Bailey Hongzhuang looked even more outstanding right now, especially since the red dress made her appear bolder, and you could see the tenacity and fierceness of Bailey Hongzhuang. At this moment, everyone could see that Di Bei-chan and Bailey Hongzhuang were a natural couple, mutually praised as everyone remained silent. Do you really have to show so much love? Xia Zhiqing had a wide smile on her face. She remembered earlier when she thought that Hongzong and Dongfang you were very much in tune, but it turns out that Di Bei-chan and Hongzhuang were a natural pair. Hongzhuang, you really look good in this kind of clothes. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xia Zhiqing, who was dressed in purple. There was a trace of playfulness to her, making her appear very cute. However, that mature figure was also exposed under the slightly tight dress, and many men nearby were looking at Xia Zhiqing's curvy body and drooling. Bailey Hongzhuang blinked and smiled. I can't compare to you. Xia Zhiqing was slightly surprised but soon understood the meaning of Bailey Hongzhuang's words. She could not help but flush as she reprimanded, Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, shrugging as she motioned for her to stop talking. Gong Shaoqing saw that everyone was gathered and said, We are now ready to enter deeper into the mountains. At any time we may meet wicked. We must be more careful. Then Gong Shaoqing turned to the side to Cui Haoyan. You and Zhan Yunfeng walk in front. New students walk in the middle. I and Dongfang you will walk behind. Cui Haoyan nodded slightly. What Gong Shaoqing had said was undoubtedly the best strategy. Only in this way would the risk be minimized. Everyone else did not have an opinion, but Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look at Di Bei-chan. In the ranks of the team, Di Bei-chan was the strongest, but that guy was walking around here like he was strolling in the back garden of his own home. Feeling Bailey Hongzhuang's sight on him, Di Bei-chan bent slightly, coming closer to her. Are you sneakily looking at your husband? You think too much. Bailey Hongzhuang said as she looked away. This guy's perception was really sensitive. The arc of Di Bei-chan's lips expanded, and he lightly said, Lady can continue to look at me, after all, the husband is here for her. You after the arrangement of Gong Shaoqing and Cui Haoyan, the team divided into two rows of people. Naturally, Bailey Hongzhuang walked with Di Bei-chan, while Xia Zhiqing and Bai Junyu walked behind them. Together, they walked deeper into the mountains. Cui Haoyan, who was walking in the front, looked at the map and led the team in the direction where the miasma forest was. Since the demonic beast tide, there had been many changes in the Luoyun mountains. Many plants were destroyed, and towering trees had fallen to the ground, leaning the dense mountain ranges with a feeling of emptiness. A demonic beast tide causes a lot of changes, Bailey Hongzhuang said, secretly feeling that the destructive force of this century-rare demonic beast tide was really terrible. Hearing the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, the calm Di Bei-chen's emotions became turbulent, his breathing also changing a bit. Chapter 424. Night Camping. Feeling the sudden change in Di Bei-chen's mood, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at him, finding that Di Bei-chen's face was cold as ice, dark and depressed. I will not die so easily, it must be a blessing. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was soft. She had long since realized that the demonic beast tide incident was a knot in Di Bei-chen's heart. Every time she mentioned the demonic beast tide, Di Bei-chen's emotions seemed to change, but this change was because of her? Di Bei-chen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang as if he was trying to etch her in his heart. He nodded slightly, the tension in the atmosphere easing a bit, and that unparalleled beautiful face revealed an evil, charming smile again. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed in relief. Although she had never seen an angry Di Bei-chen, she believed that Di Bei-chen's rage would be very scary. As they gradually descended down the Luoyun mountains, there were fewer and fewer people around, Occasionally they would come across a group of mercenaries who was also going towards the miasma forest. Other times there were no movements. On this expedition, it was inevitable that they would run into wicked beasts. However, they were all sensitive and the beasts were quickly disposed of by them. In particular, Cui Haoyan and Gong Shaoqing had repeatedly demonstrated their experience from entering the Luoyun Mountains so many times. Therefore, the entire team did not suffer in the slightest. On the contrary, they had a lot of gains. The eyes of Xia Zhiqing were always glowing with excitement. On this expedition, she was more excited than nervous. Bailey Hongzhuang was also feeling pretty normal. Her spiritual strength was strong due to being an alchemist. Coupled with the fact that she had traversed through time to come here, her spiritual power was undoubtedly the strongest among this group. Along with the existence of Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and Baisher, she was the first person to find the trail of wicked. However, even in these circumstances she did not react, she did not try to grab the limelight. This was even more true for Di Bei Chan. Even if he sensed the beasts, his clear and handsome face did not have the slightest change. Truthfully, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others did not feel like they were on an expedition at the moment, they felt like it was an excursion. This must be because the strength of the wicked in the Luoyun Mountains was not that strong, and with their strength, no one in the group would suffer. However, as they went deeper, they too had to be careful of the surrounding wicked. As night fell, the whole Luoyun Mountains was shrouded in darkness. The calls and shrieks of the wicked made the surroundings sinister. The sky is already dark. Let's find a place to rest. Cui Haoyan said. The beasts are rampant at night. If we continue on this path, we will be in trouble if we run into the stronger ones. Hearing this, everyone nodded. Their strength at night was not comparable to wicked. It was known that many mercenaries had died in the Luoyun Mountains because they were attacked in the night by wicked. I've been in this area before. I know a good place for camping. That's good. Cui Haoyan replied with a laugh. Dongfang Yu, you come in the front to lead the way. Okay. Dongfang Yu immediately walked to the front of the group and led the team to the place he spoke of. After walking for about 1 incense stick's time, the group finally arrived at the place. It was a highland and the surrounding vision was wide. If there were any wicked beasts, it would certainly not escape anyone's attention. This was indeed an excellent place to camp. Chapter 425 Lady cares about me. This is a really good place. Cui Haoyan smiled widely as he leaned against a big tree to sit down. Everyone sat down and took a break. Everyone was tired and so after sitting down, they breathed a sigh of relief. I have long known that the wicked in the Luoyun Mountains are rampant and we need to be careful at all times. I have been tense the whole day because of this. Xia Zhiqing took out food from a yinyang pouch and sighed while eating. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. I thought you were very excited today. Oh, this is not the first time I have come to the Luoyun Mountains. But I am slightly excited. Then Xia Zhiqing walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Hongzhuang, you knew better than everyone how excited I was after becoming a special enrollment student. Haha, there are some girls who even admire me. This expedition is of great significance to me. Bailey Hongzhuang tapped her dagger. Even with a little imagination she could see the expressions of the ordinary class students. After all, Xia Zhiqing was the first student to pass the examination to become a special enrollment student. We should rest now. When we go deeper into the Luoyun Mountains tomorrow, it will be much more dangerous than today. Xia Zhiqing nodded. I understand. Wicked beasts are frequent in the night. Although this clearing is at a very advantageous place, something could still happen. To be careful, I'm going to arrange for us to take turns keeping watch at night. How about 2 people? Gong Shaoqing suggested. No problem. Everyone nodded. Since they were a sizable group, they naturally required a guard to be secure. The first one to keep watch will be me and Dongfang. Others can take a rest. Under the arrangement of Gong Shaoqing and Cui Haoyan, the order of keeping vigils was quickly arranged. Bailey Hongzhuang rested against a big tree, slowly closing her eyes. She still was vigilant in her heart and mind. The wicked in the Luoyun Mountains were strong because of the thicker spiritual energy. That is why many cultivators like to come to these mountains. The reason was obviously for cultivating. The night would soon turn to day, so she did not plan to rest. It was better to practice all night, she would feel refreshed the next day. Baisher lay quietly in the arms of Bailey Hongzhuang and closed his eyes as if he was resting. As the Beastmaster, it had a lot of wicked cores each day. There was a lot of latent energy in his body, and it took cultivation to slowly absorb the energy of these. Even Xiao He and Xiao Bai were cultivating. They had spent many years in the Chaos Ring. Cultivation had become their habit. Di Beichan sat next to Bailey Hongzhuang, looking at her soft and beautiful face. Glimpses of tenderness appeared in his eyes as he smiled and closed his eyes. It was silent all around. Only Dong Fengyu and Gong Xiaoqing had their eyes wide open as they carefully kept vigil of their surroundings, and nothing moved. When their turn to keep vigil came, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichan also watched the surroundings carefully. The moonlight shined on both of them, casting eerie shadows as they sat next to each other. If Lady is feeling tired, she can take a rest. I can keep watch. Di Beichan's eyes were full of concern, his voice warm and refreshing. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and looked at Di Beichan. It doesn't matter. I'm not tired. I know you can't bear to watch me keep vigil alone. Di Beichan smiled, and the moonlight illuminating his face made him extraordinarily charming. Chapter 426. Lady is wise, and we belong together. Bailey Hongzhuang was startled and glanced at Di Beichan. This guy's narcissism was on another level. I was afraid you would fall asleep and then all the others in the team would be in danger. That would be bad. Hearing this, Di Beichan smiled evilly at Bailey Hongzhuang. There was a hint of affection and laughter in his eyes. Wifey, I know you just don't want to admit it. Bailey Hongzhuang was helpless. Sure enough, she could just not reason with this guy. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang sat up straighter, and the instincts that had been cultivated in her throughout the year made her feel that something was wrong. Intuition is a very magical ability that could not be seen and cannot be touched. It could not be explained by common sense but is actually there. The keen instinct often appeared when the person was on the verge of danger. This type of instinct was more accurate than what is seen by the naked eyes. Under the twilight, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the dark woods in front of her. The surroundings at this time were particularly dark. The darkness before dawn was sinister. Shortly after observing the surroundings, Bailey Hongzhuang's and Di Beichan's eyes were filled with a touch of seriousness. Lady, you go and inform everyone. Di Beichan whispered. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and whisper-shouted to Xia Zhiqing and the others who were asleep. After Xia Zhiqing and the others heard Bailey Hongzhuang's voice, they were surprised. On the surface, their eyes looked heavy with sleep but their body was ready to go. Bailey Hongzhuang went back to the side of Di Beichan. His handsome face shone with radiant wisdom. How did you determine that there was an aura of menace coming from a human and not from a wicked beast? He did not miss the fact that she had discovered the danger. Seeing this exemplary show of talent, he could determine that there were still many secrets about his wife. All along, he had felt that his perception of danger was extremely acute, but he had not expected her response to be better than his. This kind of intuition had to be honed, and this alone was enough to judge that her secrets were not simple. Bailey Hongzhuang's red lips curved slightly. At this time, many wicked beasts begin to rest. If they want to attack, they will not choose this time. Now is also a time when humans are most tired and lax. This is a good time for other humans to sneak attack. Don't you think so? The reason why Di Beichan did not directly wake everyone up, but let her remind them was because he wanted to judge her. Lady is wise. Di Beichan blinked in admiration. We belong with each other. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's brows were knotted. The fact that it was a human and not a wicked was thought-provoking. In the Luoyun Mountains, it was not uncommon for cultivators to get robbed. However, even if the opponents were trying to rob them, they wouldn't have chosen such a large group of people. It would only make things harder for them. As a result, there was only one possibility left. The other party had enmity with them. As soon as this revelation came to light, a man appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's mind, Yihu Cheng. The last time they were in the Luoyun Mountains, they had clashed with Yihu Cheng. From the attitude of Yihu Cheng, he did not seem to be one to give up easily. This time the blur level task was a hot topic, so Yihu Cheng and the others are very likely to be here. Behind a tall tree, Yihu Cheng led the rest of the gang as they looked at Dong Fengyu and the others. his eyes shining and sharp as hawks, with fierceness in them. Chapter 427 Dealings. Hu Chang. The last time we suffered a loss in front of Gong Shaoqing and the others. This time we cannot let them escape. Hu Chang was in a haze. His enmity for Gong Shaoqing and that woman was endless. This time he must see for himself an agonized expression on Gong Shaoqing's face. If it was not for Gong Shaoqing, he would not have been reduced to the level he was at now. Hu Chang's eyes were full of malice and poison. His eyes locked tightly on the body of Bailey Hongzhuang. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang, would he have lost an arm? Fortunately, they left early on that day and their lives were saved. However, having a broken arm as a cultivator would greatly reduce your strength and would disable you from performing many martial arts. In other words, his road to cultivation in this life had almost come to an end. As soon as he thought of this, his hatred for Bailey Hongzhuang would start bubbling. Originally, Hu Chang had intended to go back and rest, but he understood well that if he did not personally kill Bailey Hongzhuang, he would not be reconciled in this life, so he still appeared here. This time we have teamed up with the Vicious Flames mercenary group. Even if they are strong, they cannot escape. Hu Chang's face was bright and his eyes were full of coldness. He wants Bailey Hongzhuang to also suffer that desperate pain. Brother as long as I help you kill these guys, you will join our Vicious Flames mercenary group, right? A sturdy and tall man inquired. This person was the second in command of the Vicious Flames mercenary group, Zhao Han. This mercenary group was one of the 3 major mercenary groups in the nearby area. It had a large number of people and they were very powerful. Few people would dare to mess with them. There were 2 heads in the Vicious Flames mercenary group, Zhao Bing and Zhao Han, both of whom were brothers. These 2 people not only had good cultivation talent, they were also reckless and decisive, because of which they could lead their group to such a reputation in a short period of time. Hu Chang seriously nodded his head and said, "Yes, I need to report this enmity and I will do anything for this. If you help me kill them, I will be a loyal member of Vicious Flames mercenary group in the future." Hearing this, Zhao Han's eyes were filled with satisfaction. He also learned about Hu Chang a few days ago. With Hu Chang's age, his future accomplishments would be limitless. Therefore he had wanted to recruit him. Only, he later learned Hu Chang's situation and acceded to his request. Although the Zhonglan College was indeed a giant in the Luoyun Mountains, as long as they disposed of them neatly and without evidence, Zhonglan College would never know. What's more, even if the Zhonglan College knew of it, they did not have evidence and they would not admit to anything. What could they do? As long as he killed the group of students, he would find a great talent for his mercenary group. This did not seem like a bad trade. "Don't worry, I will help you out." Zhao Han's mouth rose in a cold smile. He immediately waved his hand, and members of the mercenary group stumbled out from behind him. Oh! Subtle footsteps stepped on the fallen leaves, and Bailey Hongzhuang could hear it. The other person had made his move. In the next moment, a black figure flashed like lightning. In the night, this black silhouette was extremely well hidden. Obviously, the other party had prepared well. "Fight!" Zhao Han made the order, and the mercenaries all took out their weapons. Chapter 428 Meeting again. Gong Shaoqing. In the chilly and sinister atmosphere of the mountains, the rays of moonlight made people unconsciously feel a sense of detachment. Zhao Han and the others had planned to sneak attack the group while they were sleeping. Such a thing would no doubt save them some trouble. However, when they rushed to the clearing where Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were, they discovered that the other party had already discovered their ambush. As soon as they appeared, Gong Shaoqing and others held up their weapons. Sure enough, they are students of the Zhonglan College. Their perception is sensitive. Although Zhao Han was somewhat surprised at the quick reaction of Gong Shaoqing and the others, he was not after thinking about it. After all, the special enrollment students of the Zhonglan College would naturally be stronger, otherwise, the fame of the special enrollment class would be embarrassing. Bailey Hongzhuang stared at the stranger in front of her. Had she guessed wrong? She had never seen this guy. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, but Gong Shaoqing and the others were filled with doubts too. In their impression, they did not have any clashes with this group of people in front of them. Making up their minds, they just treated them as fat pigs to be slaughtered. Who are you guys? Gong Xiaoqing's face was covered with a layer of ice. There is no enmity between us. Why are you attacking us so late at night? Zhao Yihan's eyes fell on Gong Xiaoqing's body. I really don't have any grudges with you, but since you and my brother have grudges, it is tantamount to having a grudge against me. As soon as they heard these words, everyone's expressions changed slightly. It could be said that the other party had deliberately come to make enemies. In the next moment, Yi Huchang and Yin Haichang, does anyone remember him? I don't, slowly appeared in front of everyone. Yi Huchang. Gong Xiaoqing's voice was hard and cold, his icy eyes glaring at Yi Huchang, full of disgust and contempt. Lu Qinyu's face also became pale. She felt like Yi Huchang was a nightmare that would keep plaguing her. She had originally thought that after Yi Huchang left the Conglan College they would not have any more intersections. She never thought that Yi Huchang would keep appearing in front of them like a ghost. Obviously, as long as the grudges between them were not settled, Yi Huchang would keep following them. Thinking of this, Lu Qinyu's heart started panicking, and her face turned even uglier. Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look behind her at Lu Qinyu. Sure enough, she was panicking. As cultivators, they highly valued pride. The more Lu Qinyu retreated, the more Yi Huchang would not let her go. Gong Xiaoqing, we meet again. Yi Huchang gave a sneer. The moment he saw Gong Xiaoqing, the undisguised hatred in his eyes overflowed. Seeing Yi Huchang's countenance, the faces of Cui Haoyan and Zhan Yufeng also changed a bit. Yi Huchang's past was known to them. For Yi Huchang's character, they had no words to say. In fact, the reason why Yi Huchang had presently come to this stage was due to past incidents. Although he himself was not guiltless, it was undeniable that some part of the reason was Lu Qinyu. Yi Huchang, you really are a ghost. Dongfang Yu's usually genial face disappeared in an instant. The lesson you were taught last time wasn't enough? Yi Huchang burned with fury. If not for the sudden appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang last time, could you really have escaped? Chapter 429 Trouble. Vicious Flames mercenary group. Hearing the words of Yi Huchang, everyone's eyes could not help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. A trace of deep strangeness appeared in the eyes of Cui Haoyan and Zhan Yufeng. The last time when Yi Huchang appeared, the situation actually changed due to the strength of Bailey Hongzhuang. For a long time, they had only known that Bailey Hongzhuang's skills were superb. Di Beichan was full of praise for the strength of his wife, or else how could they have become special enrollment students in the college? What's more, from the time he had seen Bailey Hongzhuang cultivating at the waterfall, he had known that the strength of his wifey would not be weak. Talented cultivators were not necessarily strong, but hard-working cultivators were not weak. Yin Haichang's vicious eyes glared at Bailey Hongzhuang. If a glare full of hatred could kill a person, he would have already killed Bailey Hongzhuang many times. Yi Huchang, if you leave now, we won't have to fight, Cui Haoyan said slowly. Once we start fighting, it will be of no use to either of us. Listening to this, Yi Huchang sneered. You guys have a good look. Now we have more people than you will lose. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the situation in front of her. There were 15 mercenaries from the Vicious Flames mercenary group, plus Yi Huchang and Yin Haichang, so the other side had a total of 17 people. In contrast, there were only 9 people in their group. In terms of the number of people, the other party had an absolute advantage. Cui Haoyan's brows rose. Even if you have the advantage of numbers, numbers do not represent strength. You were previously a student of Conglan College. You should be well aware of the strength of the people of Conglan College's special enrollment students. His words made an unpleasant expression to appear on Zhao Yihan's face. The words of Cui Haoyan clearly insinuated that the strength of their mercenary group was weak. All of you in the school is just a group of weak young masters. Our Vicious Flames mercenary group is made of real fighters. You say we are weak? Zhao Yihan was angry, his eyes icy. In his view, they were powerful mercenaries who had killed many and faced life and death situations which hardened them. They were stronger than these young masters who enjoyed life with ease. After hearing the name of the Vicious Flames mercenary group, Gong Xiaoqing's face changed a bit. They had a certain understanding of Vicious Flames mercenary group, They were able to suddenly rise to the top among the various mercenary groups, which proved the strength of the Vicious Flames mercenary group. I did not expect Yi Huchang to have ties with the Vicious Flames mercenary group. Dong Fengyu frowned. The base of the Vicious Flames mercenary group was not far from the base of the Luoyun Mountains. Once a conflict arose, it would be impossible to avoid trouble. If you know about the Vicious Flames mercenary group, you should be clear about your own situation. Looking at the ugly expression of Gong Shaoqing, Yi Hucheng's heart cannot help but feel ecstatic. Generally, Gong Shaoqing was expressionless. Now his cold mask had been completely torn off. Gong Shaoqing, I will give you two choices. Yi Hucheng slowly put up a finger. First, you kneel down and apologize to me. Then hand over Lu Qinyu to me. Then these affronts will be written off. As he said this, Gong Shaoqing and others' faces were full of rage. Yi Hucheng was honestly too much. Chapter 430 Hands-on. Lu Qinyu's face turned pale, her delicate features appearing even more tender and affectionate. She understands that Yi Hucheng had long since held bitter hatred for her. Once she falls into the hands of Yi Hucheng, she would be tortured inhumanly. Yi Hucheng's cold eyes fell on the body of Lu Qinyu. Looking at Lu Qinyu, who seemed on the verge of crying, he felt very satisfied. Once, he was deceived by the delicate appearance of Lu Qinyu. Now he would destroy these features himself. The second is that you all die and Lu Qinyu still ends up at our mercy. Yi Hucheng's lips arched in a sly smile as if he knew that he had already won. He would take Lu Qinyu and make her suffer. You keep dreaming. Gong Shaoqing's knotted brows revealed his anger and disgust. He felt that this Yi Hucheng was really repulsive. Yan Haicheng's eyes fell on the body of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang, for what you have done to me, I will not let you off. Hearing this, the corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved ever so slightly, revealing a trace of evilness and pride. If you had the ability, you would not have lost your hand. The last time I had only just started and you lost an arm. This time I won't go so easy on you. Bailey Hongzhuang felt too lazy to waste time on the other party. Although the number of opponents was far greater than them, the end result had yet to be decided. What's more, there were the two teachers overseeing them. What did they have to be afraid of? They could directly fight. Xia Zhiqing's mouth was open wide. Bailey Hongzhuang was really not like the average person. After hearing the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, the heavy emotions that Cui Haoyin and the others felt disappeared. Bailey Hongzhuang was right. Since the contradiction between the two parties was irreconcilable, they would fight. Yan Haicheng's face was a bit ugly. He had intended to take advantage of this opportunity to goad Bailey Hongzhuang. He had not expected that she would be so arrogant. Does Bailey Hongzhuang even know the situation she was in right now? The eyes of Yi Hucheng, who was looking at Bailey Hongzhuang, also changed a bit. The last time Bailey Hongzhuang had been a considerable variable. This time too, Bailey Hongzhuang's performance was completely different from other people. This woman was really not simple. In fact, Yi Hucheng and the others had overlooked a person. That was Di Bei-chan, who was standing beside Bailey Hongzhuang. From the beginning to the end, Di Bei-chan had not said a word. Not because he was too afraid, but he was simply too lazy to speak. These few jumping clowns dared to be so presumptuous. They were making a big joke of themselves. Since you don't know when to shut up, I will make you feel regret. Yi Hucheng's face was dyed with wrath and his gaze crossed to Zhao Yihan. Zhao Yihan nodded slightly, waving his hands he firmly, and coldly said, "Hands on." As Zhao Yihan's voice fell, the mercenaries behind him clasped their weapons without hesitation and rushed towards Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. The atmosphere suddenly became tense, and a quietness spread. Not far away, Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo were looking at this scene. Their expressions also changed slightly. It seems this is not the first time that Yi Hucheng has had a conflict with Gong Shaoqing. Fu Hongbo said slowly. Lu Huayan glanced at Fu Hongbo. Now in this situation, should we interfere? Chapter 431 I didn't want to see you. We don't need to act unless it is very dangerous. Now that such a tricky situation has appeared, I believe that our students will be able to persist for a while. Lu Huayan nodded slightly. This had always been their intention. There was nothing wrong with the words of Zhao Yihan. Compared to mercenaries who were always facing dangerous situations, the students of Zhonglan College had much lesser experience. That is why the academy let them go out on this mission. In the battle of life and death, having guts to spill blood and courage is the most important. In the Shangxian continent, it was not uncommon for the young inexperienced masters to die at the hands of weak but bloodthirsty mercenaries. If their students gave up at the very face of danger, then these students were not worth grooming. Sometimes a life and death experience could be of great benefit as it could cause a surge in strength. Bailey Hongzhuang is indeed different. Lu Huaiyan's words were full of appreciation. It was worth trying so hard to make her come to our college. Fu Hongbo nodded in agreement. She rejected us. Actually, her courage can be easily seen. If people were ridiculed all year round, their personalities would become weak and fragile. Bailey Hongzhuang can be considered a rare type. In that environment, she not only did not lose her morale but even had such great courage. I have always felt optimistic about such students. Lu Huaiyan's mouth curved in a smile. Originally he had not thought that going to Fengbo country's imperial city would have any gains but did not expect they would have such a huge profit. Fu Hongbo looked at Di Beichun pensively, slowly saying, Di Beichun seems even more mysterious. From the moment Yi Hucheng and the others appeared, his expression has not changed at all. His expression is almost like, he does not care. Lu Huaiyan shared his views with Fu Hongbo. Yes. Fu Hongbo nodded. Generally, when someone encountered a situation like this, they would be nervous or worried. But Di Beichun was very indifferent. His confidence cannot be a bluff. He must naturally have a certain idea or measure. Lu Huaiyan smiled faintly. There are always some geniuses in the world that could not be comprehended. Yi Hucheng directly faced Gong Shaoqing. He had always wanted to compete with Gong Shaoqing. This time he would surely be victorious. In just a few moments, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others already had opponents facing them. Yan Haicheng stood in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, his face full of resentment at seeing her beautiful face. Bailey Hongzhuang, we meet again. Yan Haicheng smirked. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged in indifference. I didn't want to see you. Yan Haicheng turned stiff. Hearing such an eloquent retort, he couldn't form a single sentence. Master, do we need to help? The eyes of the three little beasts flashed with excitement. The guy in front of them. A few slaps from them would be enough to teach him a lesson. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head slightly. You can't act rashly. If you are noticed by other people, it won't be good. Xiao Hai and Xiao Bai were her trump cards. She won't use them so easily. Although the situation in front of them was tricky, it had not reached a stage of danger. What's more, this guy in front of her was not worth her time. The last time she hadn't pursued him, but this time she would not let him escape. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.